Chapter 2551. When Night Sorrow brought his family to Jingyun, she had already killed Feng Ling, but she was very unhappy. She had brought Ho Lai and Zhu Yunxia to find Geng Chen, but by the time they found him, his cultivation had already been crippled. Geng Chen, what happened? Night Sorrow immediately asked out of concern when he saw that Geng Chen's cultivation had been crippled and his face was as white as a sheet. He discovered that Geng Chen's injuries were the same as Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo. Their dantians had been destroyed, but he wasn't as worried. After all, Long Tianqing could heal such injuries. AI. It's that bitch. She entered the Sky Martial Gate, one of the 7 great sects of the Cloud Immortal Continent, and caught the eye of an invincible high god on the god ranking. When she saw me return, she, who was already a high god, expressed her loyalty to him and crippled my cultivation. Speaking of this matter, Geng Chen's fists were tightly clenched together. He had never imagined that the person he thought about day and night would actually do such a heartless thing. A woman's heart was the most poisonous. He completely understood the meaning of this saying. There's nothing to miss about a woman like that. Senior Tianqing can heal your injuries. Don't worry, you'll recover. Night Sorrow comforted Geng Chen, who was extremely weak and in low spirits. Long Tianqing could indeed heal Geng Chen, but she had already gone to find the Violet Mansion Divine Lord to discuss the matter of Wu Lingfei. It would take time for her to appear again. After all, it wasn't easy to travel across the Lord's domain. In the future, I'll definitely kill that adulterous couple with my own hands. Thinking of the humiliation he had suffered, Geng Chen's eyes were filled with hatred. He hadn't returned for many years, so it wasn't incomprehensible that his wife had gotten together with someone else. But to attack him was too much. There's no need for in the future. We'll take you to get revenge now. You should be able to find them, right? After understanding what had happened, Yi Shang, who was also furious, immediately spoke. With Geng Chen's talent, it was almost impossible for him to find an expert on the god ranking for revenge. But if he was with Jingyun, defeating an expert on the god ranking shouldn't be a problem. It was better to take revenge. It's all my fault. Seeing that Geng Chen was injured, I was in a hurry to bring him back for treatment and forgot about revenge. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, a trace of regret immediately appeared on Jingyun's face. However, she was only concerned about Geng Chen's injuries and neglected other things. Yes, I can find it with my eyes closed. The place where they live now was originally mine. Geng Chen clenched his teeth and said, Jingyun, you've already cultivated to the God Monarch realm. Try using your God Essence energy to suppress the chaotic God Essence energy in Geng Chen's body. This will lessen his pain. With the experience of saving Lin Piaomiao and the others, Night Sorrow was very familiar with this kind of injury. He asked Jingyun to help treat it. Geng Chen, who was being treated by Jingyun, felt the pain in his body lessen a lot. He began to point the way as sweat dripped down his forehead. Half a month later, they appeared in front of a valley covered in green grass. Trash, didn't I tell you to never come back? This valley is already ours. As soon as Night Sorrow and Jingyun appeared with Geng Chen, a beautiful female cultivator shouted harshly in the valley. She didn't use her divine sense to check the cultivation levels of Night Sorrow and Jingyun. Furthermore, the two of them didn't release their God Essence energy. Subconsciously, she thought that since they had come together, their strength should be about the same as Geng Chen's and that they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. Vicious woman, you think you're in the right when you're occupying a magpie's nest? Geng Chen scolded. Today, I must seek justice. Seek justice? Do you have the strength to do so? You found 2 pieces of trash and you want to challenge us? In the eyes of the beautiful female cultivator, her adulterer, Ho Qingyuan, was an important disciple of the Sky Martial sect. He was also an expert on the divine list. He was an invincible existence. After scolding him, she shouted, Husband, someone is causing trouble. Come out and clean up the house. Bitch, I only want to ask you one thing. Where is my child? Geng Chen, who was being supported by Night Sorrow, shouted in a trembling voice. Child? What child? Don't tell me that you still think Exian, is your flesh and blood? Lin Change said with a disdainful smile. Her meaning was obvious. Before Gingshan left this place, he had already been accused. Even the child wasn't his. Bitch. You deserve to die. Hearing that the child wasn't his, Gingshan felt as if he'd been struck by lightning. Deserve to die? Who are you calling deserving to die? I think you've forgotten the pain after the scar healed. Lin Change said sharply. Then she roared, now you can die knowing the truth. Go to hell. You shouldn't have come back. I let you go once, but you still came back to die. Don't blame me for being ruthless. As she roared, she used the 7-section whip in her hand to strike Gingshan, who was unsteady on his feet. Your eyesight is too poor. In the face of Lin Change's attack, Yi Shang scolded disdainfully. With a wave of his hand, he shattered the whip and slapped her across the face. She was just an ordinary lower great deity. He had no trouble dealing with her. What? So strong? Husband, come out. I'm about to be killed. Realizing that Night Sorrow was stronger than her, Lin Change covered her face and screamed for help. She was scared out of her wits. He's here. Why are you panicking? You belong to me, Ho Qingyuan. Who dares touch you? At this moment, a sinister voice came from the valley. Ho Qingyuan flew to Lin Change's side. Seeing Lin Change's swollen face, he immediately flew into a rage. Who did this? It was me. What are you going to do about it? Night Sorrow glared. Now that the two main characters were here, he was ready to attack. What am I going to do about it? Of course, I'm going to cripple all of you and make you useless for eternity. Jing Yun had never released her aura. As an invincible great deity, Ho Qingyuan didn't realize how strong she was. He thought she was just an ordinary lower great deity. Night Sorrow was a feather deity. He didn't think much of him. Immortal Desolate Heavenly Martial Seal. As soon as he said that, Ho Qingyuan summoned a divine artifact that looked like a jade seal. He controlled it and sent it towards Night Sorrow and the others. He wanted to crush them all into meat paste. Treastrimsa Heaven's secret battle technique. Facing Ho Qingyuan's attack, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Jing Yun, telling her not to attack. He used the Treastrimsa Heaven's secret battle technique to increase his strength by 10 times. Then, he punched the seal that was coming at him. You're courting death. Seeing that Night Sorrow, a feather deity, actually used his fist to block the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal, Ho Qingyuan's face revealed a mocking smile. Boom! At this moment, Night Sorrow, whose strength had increased by 10 times, sent the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal flying with a punch. How is this possible? Seeing the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal flying, Ho Qingyuan was stunned. He didn't understand how a feather deity could unleash such terrifying strength. Nothing is impossible. You've humiliated Gingshan before. Today, I will return all of it. Night Sorrow roared. He used the Samsara Heavenly Halberd to attack with the Samsara Strike and used the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Array to bind Ho Qingyuan. Chapter 2552. Ho Qingyuan had no chance to dodge the Reincarnation Strike. His divine domain was shattered by the halberd, and his defensive sorcerer's robe was torn apart. He was seriously injured, and his divine soul was damaged. His strength had decreased a lot, and he had no power to fight back. He was easily defeated. I, Ho Qingyuan, am ranked 93rd on the divine list. How could I lose to a feather god? How is this possible? Is he a feather god or a divine lord? Damn it. Didn't they say Gingshan didn't have any backers? Where did he get to know such a freak? Ho Qingyuan's heart collapsed when he realized he had no chance at all. However, it was too late to regret now that things had developed to this extent. Facing Night Sorrow, who was about to attack again, he threatened him with a cold face, "You are very powerful, and I am no match for you." However, I am a core disciple of the Heavenly Martial Sect, and my master is Divine Lord Purple Eagle. If you touch me, you will definitely suffer endless losses. Not only you, but everyone around you will also die. I will give up this valley and this woman, and we will live in peace. Husband, you can't give up on me and Yen, Ho Qingyuan had just fought one round with Night Sorrow, and he had already admitted defeat and given up on her. Lin Change was so scared that she started to cry. What do you know? Get lost. Seeing Lin Change pouncing on him, Ho Qingyuan kicked her away, fearing that he would be associated with her. Live in peace? You adulterers crippled Gingshan's cultivation, and now you want to live in peace? Let me tell you, it's useless to bring up anyone. Gingshan, you deal with them. I will help you deal with them no matter what. No matter who is behind them. Ho Qingyuan still did not forget to threaten. Night Sorrow said disdainfully, and then preached to Gingshan, asking him to deal with today's matter. Okay. I will deal with them. Gingshan, whose cultivation had been crippled, had hatred in his eyes that could not be described with words. He squeezed out the words from between his teeth, and then continued, Brother Night Sorrow, now that I don't have the ability to fight, please help me cripple their cultivation. I want them to experience what it feels like to be a cripple. Okay. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated. This is called karma and retribution. Hearing Gung Chen's words, Night Sorrow immediately prepared to make a move. He didn't want to cripple other people's cultivation, but he could really do it to Ho Qingyuan and Lin Change. Don't. We can discuss this matter. My sect and my clan will compensate you. Speak. How many divine crystals do you want? I'll give you as many as you want. Don't cripple my cultivation. It took me several cycles of cultivation to achieve what I have today. You. Seeing that Night Sorrow was really going to make a move, Ho Qingyuan, who was afraid of being crippled, immediately begged for mercy. At the side, Lin Changyi was so frightened that she knelt at Gingshan's feet and begged for mercy. Gingshan, please let me go. I promise you that I will be obedient to you in the future. Scram. I don't need *tch like you to obey me. Brother Night Sorrow, do it. There was no pity in Gung Chen's eyes. It wasn't that he was heartless, it was that the other party had gone too far. If you hadn't crippled Gung Chen, I definitely wouldn't have crippled your cultivation. All of you brought this upon yourselves. Before making a move, Night Sorrow said word by word. He didn't have the slightest bit of pity for Ho Qingyuan and Lin Changyi. Night Sorrow, your name is Night Sorrow. I've already spread your name. It won't be long before my sect and my clan join forces to hunt you down. Seeing that Night Sorrow had no intention of stopping, Ho Qingyuan, who was temporarily out of control, shouted loudly. He used his movement technique to rush toward Gingshan, whose cultivation had been crippled. He wanted to control him and use him to threaten Night Sorrow. Futile struggle. Facing Ho Qingyuan's sneak attack, Night Sorrow coldly berated him. He shot out a forbidden spear and directly pierced Ho Qingyuan's dantian. Ho Qingyuan, whose dantian had been pierced, immediately howled with a sinister expression. He looked like he was in great pain. No. Don't do anything to me. I can serve you. As long as you don't cripple my cultivation, I'll do anything. Seeing Ho Qingyuan's miserable appearance, Lin Changyi, who was kneeling on the ground, quickly kowtowed and begged for mercy. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too ruthless. Now eat the fruit of your own actions. Facing Lin Changyi, who was begging for mercy, Night Sorrow didn't hesitate at all. He struck with the Samsara halberd and completely destroyed her dantian. You're so cruel. You'll die a horrible death. Lin Changyi, whose dantian had been pierced, was in so much pain that her face was covered in sweat. She kept scolding Night Sorrow and Gingshan. Bah! Vicious woman, to think that I missed you every day in the endless bone realm. Get out of here right now. Both of you disappear from my sight immediately. Gingshan couldn't help but curse after being continuously cursed by Lin Changyi. After being scolded by him, Lin Change-yi, who heard that there was a chance to live, immediately rolled and crawled away with Ho Qingyuan. They looked very miserable. For cultivators, having their cultivation crippled is more painful than dying. They only have themselves to blame for ending up like this. You don't have to worry. Your injuries will definitely be healed. Gingshan kept staring at the direction they left, his face carrying a trace of emotion. Night Sorrow opened his mouth to console him. Sigh. Hearing Night Sorrow's consolation, Gingshan sighed. He was clear that his physical injuries could be healed. But who knew how long it would take to heal the trauma on his heart? Are we still going in this valley? Gingshan was clearly somewhat sad. Night Sorrow opened his mouth to ask. Forget it. Going in is also adding to my troubles. Now that I have nothing to worry about, I'll stay by Night Sorrow's side and cultivate properly in the future. Gingshan, who was deeply moved in his heart, turned around and no longer looked back. In the past, it was the place he missed the most. But now, he didn't want to take another look. Next, we'll head to Tianyun School. This trip might be full of variables. All of you enter the vast heaven pagoda. In the future, if I confirm that there are no problems with Tianyun School, everyone can come out and join together. After settling this matter, Night Sorrow had everyone enter the vast heaven pagoda. He rushed to Tianyun School's location at full speed. This time, he had fought Marquis Qin Yuan, who had used the Treastrimsa Heaven's secret combat technique. This allowed Night Sorrow to gain a better understanding of his own strength. At the same time, he also understood that there was no such thing as the strongest in the world, only stronger. He might be an unprecedented powerhouse of the Feather God realm, but it was hard to say whether there would be a successor. In an instant, Night Sorrow had a realization. He was only a paper's breadth away from becoming a high god. As long as he settled down and entered the vast heaven pagoda, he would soon welcome a breakthrough. He was prepared to do this after arriving at Tianyun School. At the same time, the main cities of the 7 regions all became lively. Countless cultivators gathered in front of the Feather God Roll and High God Roll to witness a strange record. Chapter 2553. Night Sorrow hadn't been famous before, but his sudden rise to 9th on the Feather God list had attracted a lot of attention. Although his position remained unchanged, he was now ranked 93rd on the High God list. This meant that he wasn't just an invincible Feather God, but an invincible High God. It was the first time in the God realm that someone had become an invincible High God before becoming a High God. Not even Sovereign Tianai, the current #1 expert of the God realm, had been this powerful. Night Sorrow was truly a man who had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat overnight. The major sects of the Cloud Immortal Continent and the various major powers of the God realm sent people to search for Night Sorrow, hoping to recruit him. One of the sovereigns even said that he wanted to take him as his personal disciple. However, Night Sorrow was extremely special. He had the power of virtue protecting him and could not be divined. No one was able to find his location. In fact, most cultivators only knew of Night Sorrow, but did not know what he looked like. For a time, countless versions of the story spread throughout the God realm. Some said that Night Sorrow was the son of a sovereign. Others said that he was the reincarnation of a sovereign. There were even some who described him as a giant or a ferocious beast. A year later, Yi Shang, who had heard of these things but had not paid too much attention to them, finally arrived at his destination, the foot of Tianyun Mountain where the Tianyun clan was located. Skycloud Mountain was composed of several floating mountain ranges that stretched between the clouds. It was glorious and majestic, and the divine spiritual chi in these mountains was very rich. From a distance, one could see dragons soaring in the sky and phoenixes soaring in the sky. It was a majestic sight. What a powerful protective mountain formation. It's at least on the level of the Divine King. As one of the 7 great sects of the Cloud Immortal Continent, the Tianyun School is truly something else. Standing at the base of Skycloud Mountain, Night Sorrow decided that he couldn't force his way in, so he wandered around the area. Before long, he encountered a few powerful feather gods and high gods. These people rode divine birds and strange beasts to the base of the mountain. Knight Sorrow immediately flew up to greet them, cupped his hands, and asked, "Are you all from the Tianyan school?" "We're not from the Tianyan school, but we're here to join the Tianyan school." "Are you also a cultivator who wants to join the Tianyan school?" A young master sitting on the back of a goshawk humbly replied. Around him were more than a dozen young masters and young ladies. These people's equipment and mounts were of good quality, and they each had their own servants and attendants. "My name is Yeyue, and I do want to join the Tianyun clan. I wonder how the Tianyun clan accepts disciples." His name had already spread throughout the realm of the gods. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he used the name Yiyu, which came from the Yiyu dynasty. "Don't tell me you're from the same family as the Yishang who rose to power overnight? There aren't many cultivators with that surname in the god realm." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, a young and beautiful female cultivator joked, "My name is Mei Ruoxue. I'm from the region ruled by Tianai. I'm ranked 20th on the feather god list." "Nice to meet you." Knight Sorrow smiled, but didn't answer her question. He never lied, so he couldn't respond. "Mei Ruoxue, why did you mention the feather god list?" "You're just showing off." The young master who spoke first mocked the female cultivator. "I'm Si Kongxiang. Nice to meet you, Brother Yi. There are 3 ways to join the Tianyan school. The first is to wait for the once-in-a-century disciple recruitment ceremony. The second is to be chosen by the higher-ups of the Tianyan school. The third is to climb the sky cloud ladder. There are still 30 years until the Tianyan school's disciple recruitment ceremony. We don't know the higher-ups of the Tianyan school, so if we want to join the Tianyan school, we can only climb the sky cloud ladder." "What's the sky cloud ladder?" Knight Sorrow, who didn't know anything about this, asked curiously. He wanted to understand the rules. The sky cloud ladder is the divine artifact of the Tianyan school. It has a total of 108,000 steps. Cultivators of the Feather God realm can join the Tianyan school as long as they can climb the 8,000 steps. Si Kongxiang pointed to a high god cultivator beside him and said, "As for a high god like Brother Fang, you have to climb the 18,000 steps." "I see." Night Moon thanked Brother Sikong once again. "Would it be possible for me to travel with you?" Night Sorrow, who didn't know the exact location of the sky cloud ladder, asked. "Of course. We can't wait for more people to be valued by the school," Mei Ruoxue said with a smile. "Good. Thank you for taking care of Night Moon then." Night Sorrow cupped his fists again and introduced himself to the others. Among the cultivators present, Mei Ruoxue and Si Kongxiang were the most talented. One of them was ranked 20th on the feather god list, while the other was ranked 15th. They were already quite famous in the realm of the gods. As for the others, most of them had met along the way. Although they were quite talented, they weren't considered the best among their peers. The 5 high gods present were much weaker than Ho Qingyuan, who Night Sorrow had defeated. They probably wouldn't be able to defeat Ho Qingyuan even if they worked together. "Brother Yi, where are you from?" The cultivator closest to Night Sorrow asked as the group flew towards the sky cloud ladder. He was the weakest in the group. His name was Han Shenfan, and he came from the region ruled by Qin Yin. It took him several years to reach the sky cloud ladder, so he was a bit nervous. I come from the region ruled by the dark moon." "Brother Han, are you a bit nervous?" Night Sorrow asked when he saw that Han Shenfan's expression was a little unnatural as he stood on the back of the flying mount. "I am a bit nervous. Joining the Tianyan school was my father's last wish. I'm afraid I can't do it," Han Shenfan explained. He had come with his father's last wish. If he couldn't join the Tianyan school, he would regret it. "Do your best and leave the rest to fate. I think you can definitely stay." Night Sorrow comforted him. He felt that if he had the chance, he would help Han Shenfan. He appreciated Han Shenfan's filial piety. "Everyone, be careful. We're almost at the sky cloud ladder. Don't make a ruckus when we get there." We don't want to offend the strong cultivators in the sect. Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th on the Feather God list, reminded them when they were about to reach the Sky Cloud Ladder. Brother Sikong, you seem to be very familiar with the Tianyun school. Have you been here before? Han Xianfan asked when he heard Si Kongxiang's reminder. Yes, my uncle is an outer sect elder of the Tianyun school. I've been here with him a few times. However, this is my first time climbing the Sky Cloud Ladder. Si Kongxiang replied with a smile. He had an easygoing personality and didn't overlook Han Xianfan just because he was weak. I see. Please take care of me later, Brother Sikong. Han Xianfan was very envious that Si Kongxiang had connections in the Yamen. We're here. The one waiting in front is my uncle. Everyone, keep quiet. Everyone chatted along the way and soon flew to a mountain peak and arrived in front of a huge stone door. Si Kongxiang pointed at a middle-aged cultivator in front of the stone door. Ha! My good nephew, you're really ostentatious. Didn't we agree to let you and Ruoshua come together? Why did you bring so many friends? The middle-aged cultivator waited for everyone to come closer before lecturing Si Kongxiang with a smile. However, he wasn't angry. Chapter 2554. Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Brother Sikong. At this moment, everyone except Mei Ruoshua finally understood that the Sky Cloud Ladder was not something that could be climbed by anyone. Everyone, including Night Sorrow, quickly expressed their gratitude to the uncle and nephew. Don't mention it, everyone. If more of you pass this test, my third uncle will also gain a lot of benefits. Si Kongxiang said with a smile. He did not take the fact that he had helped everyone seriously. Then, a group of more than 10 people, led by Sikong Hanshin, slowly passed through the stone gate. Beyond the stone gate, there were many huge mountains, jade palaces, waterfalls, and heavenly lights. It was much more spectacular than when they were at the foot of the mountain. Looking straight ahead, about 100,000 miles away, there was a stone staircase that went straight into the sky. It was Tianyun School's most precious treasure, the Sky Cloud Ladder. The Sky Cloud Ladder is really magnificent. In front of the towering Heaven Cloud Ladder, many cultivators were as insignificant as ants. Even Mei Ruoshua, who was ranked second on the God of Feathers list, was amazed. Of course. I told you. Si Kongxiang said proudly. All right. Everyone, follow me. Let's stop chatting. At this time, the outer court elder Sikong Hanshin opened his mouth and said. He then led the crowd towards the Sky Cloud Stairs. After passing through the stone gate, they officially entered the area of Tianyun School. Flying was forbidden. They walked for a while and arrived at the bottom of the Sky Cloud Ladder. The rules of the Sky Cloud Ladder are simple. You have to climb with all your strength. However, only one person can climb at a time. Who wants to go first? At this moment, there was no one around the Sky Cloud Ladder. Sikong Hanshin asked casually. Why don't I go first? I am the weakest. I will test the waters for everyone. Han Xianfan, who had been very nervous, was the first to step forward unexpectedly. Brother Qianfan, good luck. Brother Qianfan, I wish you success. Everyone got along well. When Han Xianfan stepped forward, everyone immediately gave him their blessings. Thank you, everyone. I will do my best. Han Xianfan took a deep breath and bowed to the crowd before walking up the Sky Cloud Staircase. When he stood in front of the Sky Cloud Staircase and was about to climb it, Sikong Hanshin said, the minimum threshold for entering the Divine Feather Realm is 8,000 steps. However, if you have the energy to spare, it's best to climb with all your might, because the higher you climb, the more attention you will receive in the sect. Thank you for your guidance, Elder. After speaking to Sikong Hanshin, Han Xianfan slowly stepped onto the Sky Cloud Staircase and started to climb up bit by bit. Cultivators climbing the Sky Cloud Staircase was, in fact, similar to mortals climbing a mountain. However, as the number of steps increased, the pressure they faced would increase. Han Xianfan climbed the first 1,000 steps very quickly, and soon, he was done. When he climbed the 1,000th to 2,000th step, his speed slowed down a little. By the time Han Xianfan reached 3,000 Dao essences, he was already moving slower and slower. In the end, although he worked very hard, he was only able to climb the 3,700 steps because of his lack of strength. He did not meet the standards of Tianyun school at all, so he failed to challenge the heaven cloud ladder. Since the first person had failed, everyone was a little nervous. Just as they were discussing who the second person would be, a gloomy voice sounded. Sikong Hanshin. Why do you bring all kinds of Tom, Dick, and Harry to climb the sky cloud ladder? Aren't you ashamed of yourself for being such a piece of trash? The person who spoke was a middle-aged female cultivator who had walked in through the stone door. Her words were very harsh. Han Xianfan, who had already suffered a blow, was so ashamed that he could not show his face. He hurriedly apologized to Sikong Hanshin. Elder Sikong, I'm useless. I've embarrassed you. It's fine. It's not your fault. She's a B***tch to begin with. Sikong Hanshin snorted and said angrily, Fu Hongxue, what are you doing here? Fu Hongxue was an outer sect elder like him. There was a certain amount of competition between the two of them, so they did not get along very well. I'm here to bring a new disciple to climb the sky cloud ladder. Get the trash beside you to move aside. We'll go first. Fu Hongxue scolded arrogantly. He then looked at a feather god beside him and said, Go, show your strength. Yes, elder. The feather god cultivator immediately rushed up the sky cloud ladder after hearing the order and started climbing. Before long, he had reached the feather god realm's passing mark. He climbed 8,000 steps, but he was not satisfied with this. Soon, he reached the 10,000th step. Elder, I'm lucky to have accomplished this task. When he reached the 10,000th step, he felt that he had no strength to continue climbing, so he bowed to Fu Hongxue. Good, very good. From now on, you are an outer sect disciple of the Tianyun school. Fu Hongxue praised and then looked at Sikong Hanshin provocatively. Do you see that? This is what it means to climb the sky cloud ladder. It's just climbing the 10,000th step. What's there to be arrogant about? Sikong Hanshin was very unhappy with Fu Hongxue's provocation. He shouted, Xiang, go and slap their faces. Yes. Your nephew obeys. Si Kongxiang, who had received the order, immediately rushed towards the sky cloud ladder. When he reached the sky cloud ladder, he sprinted all the way and quickly surpassed the 10,000 steps of the previous cultivator. Then, Si Kongxiang continued climbing step by step. In the end, his result was 14,562 steps. Haha. 14,562 steps. What do you say now? Sikong Hanshin was very happy to see Si Kongxiang's outstanding result. What do I say? Do you dare to bet with me on what I want to say? Let's have a good test and see who has more talent. Fu Hongxue smiled insincerely. Let's bet. What do you want to bet on? Sikong Hanshin said disdainfully. He knew that he had Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th on the feather god list, and Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th. These two people had a relatively high status among the feather gods in the realm of the gods. If you lose, you have to give me something. If you win, I'll give you a monarch-grade artifact. Fu Hongxue said indifferently. Okay, it's a deal. Fu Hongxue nodded and looked at another cultivator. You go this time. Don't hold back. Yes. This feather god cultivator's aura was very strong. He quickly surpassed Si Kongxiang's 14,000 steps. Finally, he passed the 15,000th step. After the challenge, Fu Hongxue immediately mocked Sikong Hanshin, which made him very unhappy. Chapter 2555. Ha ha ha, Sikong Hanshin, looks like you're going to lose. Of the people that Sikong Hanshin had brought, only Night Sorrow and the 5 exalted gods had not climbed the sky cloud stairs. Fu Hongxue laughed out loud. Sikong Hanshin did not see how strong the feather god she had brought was, and she did not see how strong Night Sorrow was either. Night Sorrow did not know if the two of them were really like fire and water, or if they were just friends from the same sect. They did not want to display too much strength, as that would make it difficult for them to keep a low profile in the sect. After all, Mei Ruoxue and Si Kongxiang were both in the top 20 of the feather god list. The person who had defeated them was even more powerful. If someone had the chance to reach the top 10 of the feather god list, no matter which sect they joined, it would not be peaceful. Night Sorrow did not know the exact situation of the Tianyun school and did not want to reveal too much. I did not expect you to find such a strong feather god. I was too confident this time. Tell me, what do you want? Although the exalted gods here could climb the sky cloud stairs, their results would not be counted in the competition. As for Night Sorrow, Sikong Hanshin did not see his strength at all because he had been hiding his aura. Furthermore, the top 10 of the feather god list were not easy to deal with. He did not think that Si Kongxiang would make friends with someone like that. Humph. It is not important. You can do whatever you want. However, I am very happy to see you lower your head. Fu Hongxue knew that Sikong Xiang was Sikong Hanshin's nephew, and Sikong Hanshin had high hopes for him, so she purposely appeared to attack them. As for the prize of the bet, she didn't care at all. Alright, in that case, I will give you a monarch god spear. Hearing this, Sikong Hanshin took out a monarch god spear from her spatial artifact and handed it over. This spear was of good quality. It was clearly not something that had been crudely made. It seems like your request is not too much. In that case, I will keep a low profile. Seeing that no one was causing too much trouble, Night Sorrow decided to conserve his strength when climbing the sky cloud stairs. Yan Zheng, this elder will gift this spear to you. With your talent, you will definitely have some accomplishments in the sect. Advancing to Divine Lord is only a matter of time. Fu Hongxue took the spear and handed it to the male cultivator who had just climbed the 15,000th step. Thank you, elder. Yan Zheng took the spear and played with it for a while. Then, he stored it in his spatial magic tool. When he arrived with Fu Hongxue, he had been suppressing his aura. Only now did he completely release it. There was a hint of arrogance in his eyes as he looked at the crowd. Since this matter has come to an end, the rest of you can continue climbing the sky cloud stairs. Let's see if anyone else can pass the test. Although Sikong Hanshin had lost a Divine Lord level spear and had been mocked several times, he didn't care too much. Instead, it was Si Kongxiang who felt a little embarrassed and said to Sikong Hanshin, "Third uncle, it's your nephew who is useless. I will definitely avenge you in the future." Si Kongxiang was ranked 15th on the Feather Gods list. He was very arrogant, so he was very upset that he had lost to a cultivator who had climbed the sky stairway on the same day. It's okay. She had indeed found a good seedling this time. This was a good thing for Tianyun School. In 2 years, the 7 major sects will hold a disciple competition. With the addition of the 3 of you, the Tianyun clan may no longer be at the bottom like before. Sikong Hanshin sighed. The 7 major clans would hold a competition between their disciples every 1,000 years, and in the last 10 competitions, the Tianyun clan had always been at the bottom, be it in the Divine Feather Realm or the Divine Feather Realm. The top experts on the Feather Gods list and the High Gods list had not changed for tens of thousands of years. Usually, some people had to break through to the High Gods list before others had a chance. It would not be easy for Tianyun School to make a comeback. Third uncle, don't worry. I will cultivate well and try to improve in the Feather Gods list. I will bring glory to Tianyun School. Si Kongxiang said solemnly. This was the first time he had heard of this. Don't waste your time. You and Mei Ruoxue will not be able to play a decisive role in the 7 sects tournament. Yan Zheng, who had just received the spear reward, walked over slowly and said with a fake smile. He did not take Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue seriously at all. Si Kongxiang felt unhappy in his heart and wanted to retort, but after brushing past Yan Zheng and elder Fu Hongxue, they flew off into the distance. 2 years is not long, but you have just joined Tianyun School. Your strength will increase tremendously. Work hard. Sikong Hanshin smiled and patted his nephew's shoulder. His nephew was already very outstanding. Mei Ruoxue walked over and said, Elder Sikong, now that everyone has finished climbing the sky stairway, can we enter the sect now? She had been paying attention to everyone climbing the sky stairway. Knight Sorrow was the last one to climb the sky stairway. He chose to give up on the 10,000 step and did not stand out too much. Other than Knight Sorrow, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, only one feather god and one exalted god passed the test. This success rate was not high. The cultivators who did not pass were full of regret and unwillingness. Especially Han Qianfan, who had rushed over from Qingyin's area. He did not fulfill his father's last wish and was so sad that he almost cried. Sikong Hanshin walked over and said to Knight Sorrow and the others, since the 3 of you have passed the test, you are half a step into Tianyun School. As long as there is no problem with your identity, you can officially join and obtain powerful cultivation resources. The heritage of Tianyun School is enough to support you until you reach the Divine King realm. Elder Sikong, I want to ask you something. How many people can I bring into Tianyun School? After Sikong Hanshin finished speaking, Knight Sorrow asked. Now that the people of Night Moon Dynasty were all in his spatial artifact, this was a problem that needed to be dealt with. If Tianyun School did not allow him to bring them in, it would be very troublesome. 10,000 outer sect disciples and 100,000 inner sect disciples. As for the core disciples, they can open up their own mountain in Tianyun School and recruit as many people as they want. Sikong Hanshin explained and continued, according to your results in climbing the stairway to heaven, you will become an outer sect disciple after you enter the sect. You will be able to bring in 10,000 people. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they can bring 100,000 people. So I can bring so many people. This way, everyone can enter. The population of Night Moon Dynasty was not very prosperous, and there were not many important people in the clan. Hearing Sikong Hanshin's words, Knight Sorrow relaxed. I don't know who can bring me in. As long as I can enter Tianyun School, I can even be a servant. Hearing the conversation between Knight Sorrow and Sikong Hanshin, Han Qianfan immediately walked over and said. He was very determined to enter Tianyun School. Since Brother Han is so determined, follow me. Chapter 2556. Thank you, Brother Yi. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Han Qianfan immediately bowed to him. He was very grateful for this. Since we know each other, we are friends. Brother Han, you don't need to be so polite. Knight Sorrow smiled. He could see that Han Qianfan's talent was not enough, but he felt that in the God realm, as long as he persevered, one day Han Qianfan would become an official disciple of Tianyun School. There is something that this elder wants to explain. Seeing that Han Qianfan wanted to enter the Tianyun clan in such a way, Sikong Hanshin immediately said, outer clan disciples have a very low status in the clan, but they are protected by the rules of the clan and will not be attacked for no reason. However, the status of the companions brought in is even lower. Inner or core disciples can kill them at will if they are not pleasing to the eye. What? There are such cruel rules in the Tianyun clan? As soon as Sikong Hanshin finished speaking, Han Qianfan shuddered. The other cultivators who had the same idea as him and wanted to sneak into the Tianyun clan to cultivate immediately stopped in their tracks. This is the rule of Cloud Fairy Continent. Only the strong can live better. If everyone in the sect was treated the same, how could disciples have the motivation to improve? Only with the threat of death will everyone burst out with their full potential. Sikong Han Xian smiled and said, in fact, the competition in Tianyun School is relatively small. Disciples of Soaring Heaven sect and other sects can kill each other at will. Disciples can kill each other at will? That's too inhumane. I don't like such a sect. Knowing that the competition in some sects was so cruel, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the God Feather list, couldn't help but frown. Si Kongxiang also shook his head and said, that kind of sect can't be considered a sect at all. Soaring Heaven Sect? Hearing Si Kong Han Xan mention Night Sorrow of Soaring Heaven Sect, he immediately thought of Qin Yangzi, who had attacked in anger after failing to win him over. At that time, Qin Yangzi had summoned an extraterrestrial demon. Now that he heard that Soaring Heaven Sect regarded the lives of God Realm cultivators as worthless, he immediately suspected that Soaring Heaven Sect was being controlled by heavenly demons. However, the impact of these matters was too great, so he couldn't speak casually. Tianyun School was very large. From the mountain gate where the sky cloud ladder was located to the mountain peak where they reported, there was a long distance. Sikong Hanshin took out the Tianyun School's unique flying magic tool, the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, and brought the 5 cultivators who passed the test to report. As for their family members and servants, they were all put into a spatial magic tool. Oh, right. Which one of you is good at setting up formations, concocting pills, or refining tools? If you are good at these, your days in the sect will be much better. Otherwise, if you want to obtain resources, you can only rely on your strength. Sikong Hanshin asked as they flew. In truth, cultivators would more or less dabble in these matters, but mastering them or not was a different matter. Hearing Sikong Hanshin's words, Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others all shook their heads. Only Night Sorrow said, I know a little. Good, very good. Sikong Hanshin clearly knew that if someone said they knew a little under these circumstances, they would definitely be very accomplished in a certain area. He immediately transmitted his voice to Si Kongxiang, nephew, you should visit more often in the future. Third uncle, why are you so snobbish? Even if you didn't say those words, everyone here today is my friend. Si Kongxiang retorted in disgust. You little brat. Sikong Hanshin didn't get angry at being talked back to. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked, Elder Sikong, how can I learn Pill Dao in Tianyun School? Apart from avoiding the Dark Moon ruler's people, Night Sorrow's most important goal in joining Tianyun School was to help God Sovereign Jin Yuan find the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations Pill. There are many alliances within the sect. If you want to learn Pill Dao, you can just join one when the time comes. If your potential is outstanding, you will be discovered by some elders. Sikong Hanshin used Night Sorrow's question to explain Tianyun School's situation to the others. When they arrived at Tianyun School's main peak, Tianyun Peak, Fu Hongxue had already arrived at the main peak's plaza with Yanzheng, Luan, and Du Guxian. There were many onlookers at the main peak's plaza today. News had already spread that 3 new disciples in the top 20 of the Feather God list would join today, attracting the attention of many alliances. Many alliances had sent out their top beauties to recruit them as soon as possible. The top 10 beauties of the Feather God list and the High God list were all present. One of them is actually a female cultivator, and she looks pretty good. Soon, many cultivators noticed Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the Feather God list. She had just appeared, and many high gods were already thinking about her. Some people even began to inform the Divine Lord Seed disciples. After all, Mei Ruoxue was pretty and ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Her future achievements wouldn't be low, and she met the standards of a few geniuses. Silence. The 8 of you who passed the test will follow me to the discipline hall to verify your identities. Not long after, the Tianyun School's discipline elder Lu Qingyuan brought the 8 of them to the discipline hall to verify their identities in front of many discipline elders. He used the method of turning back time and deducing the past to check their backgrounds and cultivation paths. There were no problems when deducing the others. However, when discipline elder Lu Qingyuan, who was half a step away from the Divine King, tried to deduce Night Sorrow's past, he would be interrupted by a golden dragon. This made him very depressed. He stared at Night Sorrow again and again, but he still couldn't figure out what was going on. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Kid, what secrets do you have? I can't deduce your past. If you can't explain, I'll kill you on the spot. Elder, it was the dragon of merit that interrupted your deduction. I have the power of merit. Discipline. Elder Lu Qingyuan's voice sounded in his mind. Knight Sorrow knew that he couldn't hide this matter, so he immediately replied. How's your cultivation of the force of good fortune? On the surface, Lu Qingyuan looked like he was deducing, but in fact, he continued to transmit his voice to Knight Sorrow. Recently, there had been some problems with Knight Sorrow's power of merit. He couldn't control it at will, so others naturally couldn't see through it. My power of merit is at the peak of the divine feather realm. Knight Sorrow had no choice but to answer truthfully. Peak of the divine feather realm? Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan's expression didn't change, but his heart skipped a beat. He transmitted his voice to Knight Sorrow excitedly. If I'm not wrong, you hid most of your strength when you climbed the sky cloud ladder, right? Your name is not Night Moon, but Knight Sorrow, right? Knight Sorrow did deliberately hide this matter. However, Knight Sorrow definitely doesn't have any ill intentions in joining the Tianyun school. Please forgive me, Elder. The key to joining the Tianyun school was discipline. Elder Lu Qingyuan in front of him. Knight Sorrow hurriedly explained to him, afraid that there would be some misunderstanding. It really is you. Since you want to hide your identity, then hide it for now. Go with them and accept the arrangements. I'll look for you later. Chapter 2557. After Yi Shang and the others were taken away after swearing the heavenly Tao oath to enter the clan, disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan immediately rushed to the mountain peak where Yuan Tianji, the deputy clan leader of the Tianyun clan, was. When he saw Yuan Tianji, he excitedly said, Vice Sect Master. Good news, good news. Oh. What could make Elder Lu so excited? Yuan Tianji asked, puzzled. Lu Qingyuan's joy was obvious. Lu Qingyuan was the disciplinary elder and normally enforced the law like a mountain. If it wasn't something important, he definitely wouldn't be like this. Our Tianyun school has picked up a big fish today. Haha. Truly, the heavens have blessed my sect, the heavens have blessed my sect. Lu Qingyuan laughed loudly. I've already received news of this matter. We've recruited 3 people ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Our Tianyun school's Feather God level 1 has indeed seen a qualitative increase in strength. Yuan Tianji's expression was still calm. He was one of the 2 vice sect masters of Tianyun school and was normally very cold. If it was just them, would I, Lu Qingyuan, be like this? Lu Qingyuan explained, they're just small fish. I'm talking about the big fish. Elder Lu, don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me what's going on. Yuan Tianji said unhappily. He felt that Lu Qingyuan was a bit improper today. Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow, who recently caused a sensation in the divine realm, has joined our Tianyun school along with Si Kongxiang and the others. Lu Qingyuan asked in return, don't you think I should be happy? Knight Sorrow? The one who rose to prominence overnight and entered both the Feather God list and the Upper God list at the same time, the Knight Sorrow? The originally expressionless Yuan Tianji immediately became spirited. That's him, but he used a fake name called Night Moon. Also, when he climbed the sky cloud ladder, he deliberately hid his strength. I still don't know how strong he is. Lu Qingyuan explained, I plan to find a time to bring him up the stairway to heaven again to see how far he has progressed. No matter what. We all have to take it seriously. No one else could know about this. I suspect that there are spies in Tianyun school. Yuan Tianji's expression became serious. After thinking for a while, he continued, as for Knight Sorrow, Elder Lu doesn't need to deliberately treat him well. Let him experience his own hardships in the sect. But you must send experts to protect him. Should we let him participate in the 7-sect grand competition 2 years later? For cultivators, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. It was not too early for Lu Qingyuan to ask now. It's not easy for a genius to come to the Tianyun clan, how can we not let him participate? But before that, we must keep the news a secret. Also, pay attention to his strength. If he's a feather god, it's best if he doesn't break through for the time being. Let's see if he can get first place in the feather god realm. Our Tianyun school hasn't won first place in the 7-sect grand competition for so long that even I can't remember it. Yuan Tianji sighed. Without waiting for Lu Qingyuan to speak, he added, also, confirm Knight Soro's origin and ask if he needs anything. Okay. I'll take care of these things. Is there still no news from the sect leader? Lu Qingyuan, who responded, looked at Yuan Tianji and asked. No news. I've already asked that person. He can't be sure where the sect leader went. He only knows that the sect leader didn't die. When Yuan Tianji mentioned the matter of the sect master, he sighed. Tianyun School was the only one among the 7 major sects whose sect leader was missing. Without a sect leader, Tianyun School had always been at a disadvantage in the confrontation with the other sections. If it wasn't for the fact that a super existence had a relationship with Tianyun School might have even been destroyed. Sigh. Even that person can't be found. It seems that the sect leader has very likely entered the 3 forbidden areas. Lu Qingyuan's face was full of worry. However, when he thought of Night Sorrow and saw the future, his mood suddenly became much better. At this time, Night Sorrow had already separated from Si Kongxiang and the others and was taken to the outer sect to report. After meeting the outer sect elders, he was taken by an outer sect deacon to the outer sect disciples' residence. Tianyun School had existed for so many years and had countless outer sect disciples. They had already opened up 16 mountains as their residence. According to the time of entry, Night Sorrow was brought to the outer sect's 16th mountain. After arranging a courtyard for Night Sorrow and leaving behind the disciples' attire, identity jade token, and relevant books, the deacon left directly and didn't stay to chat with Night Sorrow. Compared to Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, who received a lot of attention, the strength he displayed was too mediocre. At this time, those people from the Sex Alliance basically went to rope in those 3 prodigies. Who's already successfully entered Tianyun School? Who wants to come out for a breather? After the deacon left, Night Sorrow didn't immediately check those books in Tianyun School. Instead, he went to the vast Heaven Pagoda to visit everyone. The courtyard arranged by the sect was actually very big. It was dozens of times bigger than the courtyard Night Sorrow bought in Haibei City. However, after he spoke, only Jing Yun, Ho Lai, Xian Jizi, and some servants of the Yi family walked out of the vast Heaven Pagoda. Because everyone had already heard about the cruel rules of Tianyun School and the vast Heaven Pagoda, the family didn't want to bring trouble to Night Sorrow. As expected of one of the 7 great sects of Yunxian continent. Even the outer sect disciples' residence is so imposing. Xian Jizi and Ho Lai, who walked out of the vast Heaven Pagoda, looked as if they had never seen the world and looked around the entire courtyard. Imposing is imposing, but the path of cultivation arranged by the sect for the disciples is very cruel. Night Sorrow, who was looking at the sect's books, learned that outer and inner sect disciples had to rely on their own efforts to obtain cultivation methods, secret arts, pills, and even the opportunity to be taught by the elders. They had to earn sect points and exchange them. Only when they were promoted to core disciples would they be nurtured by the sect. Actually, this is normal. If you don't have enough talent, you have to rely on hard work to make up for it. Jing Yun, who had just walked out of the vast Heaven Pagoda, said. Night Sorrow had just joined Tianyun School and she hadn't decided whether or not to join. She was a low-level divine lord and had a powerful bloodline. If she joined, she would probably be nurtured vigorously. However, they still couldn't see the situation of Tianyun School clearly and weren't in a hurry to make a decision. No matter how strong your talent is, it's a waste if you don't work hard. Xian Jizi, who had already broken through to upper-level divine feather, heard Jing Yun's words and said with deep emotion. When he was in the lower realm, he was also a big shot who could move unhindered. In the divine realm, he didn't work hard enough and immediately faded into the crowd. With brother's talent, it's definitely not too late to catch up. Knowing that Xian Jizi was lamenting because of those years of delay, Night Sorrow smiled and comforted him. Oh my. A bunch of trash, boasting shamelessly about the Tao here? You dare to claim that you have strong talent? At this moment, a discordant voice was heard. Then, a mid-level divine lord rushed into Night Sorrow's courtyard with 6 or 7 divine feather gods. They had just been assigned here and Night Sorrow hadn't set up a defensive array yet, so they weren't stopped at all. Who are you? Chapter 2558. Who are we? We entered the sect earlier than you, so of course we're your senior brothers. Night Moon, we're here to see you. Aren't you happy? The leader of the group was a horse-faced cultivator named Xiao Yuyang. He had a playful smile on his face. The 6 half-step high gods behind him glanced left and right as if they were the ones who had taken the initiative. When they noticed Jing Yun, they couldn't take their eyes off her. Oh. What advice do you have for me, senior brother? Night Sorrow asked Xiao Yuyang. Haha. Of course, he had to give him some pointers. We're here to teach you how to use your identity jade card. Xiao Yuyang smiled maliciously and continued, also, the path of cultivation is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. Since you've entered the Tianyun school, you should have no distracting thoughts and focus on cultivation. She's just a pretty skeleton. Staying here will only hinder your cultivation. I'll take her with me when I leave. New disciples would have at least 100 sect points in their identity jade cards. This was the reward for climbing the sky cloud ladder. The horse-faced cultivator Xiao Yuyang clearly intended to plunder Yi Shang's sect and take Jing Yun away. He couldn't see through Jing Yun's cultivation and thought she was just Night Sorrow's concubine. Senior brother's words make sense. As a cultivator, we should have no distracting thoughts. Yi Shang sneered as an idea formed in his mind. Xiao Yuyang was one of the strongest lesser high gods. He was much stronger than North Sea City's Mingi. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun could kill him with a snap of their fingers, but he didn't. Instead, he transmitted to Xian Jizi, brother, do you want to try fighting a high god? A high god? Xian Jizi said bitterly, I'm afraid I'm not a match. I'm not a heaven-defying existence like you, Captain. It's fine. You're not a match today, and you won't be a match tomorrow. But one day, you'll be able to defeat him. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, you mean to keep them here for a long time? Xian Jizi immediately understood and asked with a smile. Today, I will set a rule. Those who trespass into our mansion, no matter who they are, will not be allowed to leave. After Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Xian Jizi, he looked at the complacent Xiao Yuyang and the others. At this moment, Xiao Yuyang thought that Night Sorrow had chosen to give in and sneered, since you're so tactful, you'll be spared some physical pain. Hand over your identity token. Alright, take it. Night Sorrow smiled and handed over his identity jade card. Seeing Xiao Yuyang really use his hand to catch it, Jing Yun and Xian Jizi laughed. What is it? After receiving the jade tablet, Xiao Yuyang discovered that Night Sorrow, Jing Yun, and Xian Jizi's gazes were somewhat strange. He shouted angrily, what are you laughing at? That's right, what are you laughing at? The other feather gods also felt that their robbery was a bit disrespectful, and they began to reprimand them. Since you can't leave, why don't you tell me about the structure of Tianyun School's disciples? Night Sorrow guessed that the Tianyun School's various alliances should be controlled by the Tianyun School's core disciples or seed disciples. But he didn't know the specific details, and there were no records in the ancient records given by the sect, so he asked. What's the matter? We can't leave? I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Brothers, teach him a lesson. Even if Xiao Yuyang's brain wasn't very bright, he could still see Night Sorrow's attitude and immediately gave the order. Until now, he still thought that Night Sorrow was an ordinary disciple who could only climb the Tianyun School's myriad steps. Yes, Boss Yuyang. Xiao Yuyang ordered, and the 6 feather gods immediately prepared to attack. Go outside and reflect on yourselves. Before they could attack, Night Sorrow erupted with a terrifying divine domain and suppressed them all. He grabbed them and threw them into the courtyard, and with a thought, he trapped the 6 feather gods. After that, he imprisoned Xiao Yuyang in another defensive formation. These 2 arrays were designed according to the pattern of the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array. They weren't as terrifying as the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but they could imprison for a long time. It was almost impossible for Xiao Yuyang and the 6 feather gods to break out of the array with their strength. Brother Night Moon. You are so strong. Are you stronger than Brother Sikong? Han Xianfan, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, asked in shock when he saw Night Sorrow easily suppress Xiao Yuyang in the array, combined with the 100-fold acceleration spatial artifact. Brother Han, come out. I'll leave these feather gods for you to interrogate. The Identity Jade token can record sect points. Transfer all their sect points to this Jade token. Night Sorrow was very easygoing, but he didn't answer the question. He handed the Identity Jade token to Han Xianfan. Good. Although Night Sorrow didn't answer the question, he didn't deny it either. Han Xianfan immediately understood that he wasn't simple. After receiving the Jade token, he stood outside the array and interrogated the trapped feather gods. At first, these feather gods fantasized about breaking out of the array, but they gradually gave up resistance and handed over all their sect points. They expressed that they were willing to pay the price in exchange for their freedom. They completely understood that this newcomer called Night Moon was a wolf in sheep's clothing. His strength was unfathomable. When we leave the outer sect, we'll let them out. Let them cultivate without any distracting thoughts. When Han Xianfan told Night Sorrow about the feather god's requests, Night Sorrow made this decision. After speaking, Night Sorrow looked at Xian Jizi and said, "Brother, are you ready? If you are, I'll release Xiao Yuyang. It's not good for you to fight him in a sealed space." "Okay. Let him out." Xian Jizi blew his beard and familiarized himself with the equipment and divine artifacts that Night Sorrow gave him. These were all top-grade items that ordinary feather gods could use. They were better than ordinary divine artifacts. "Brother, you can fight with all your strength. Don't worry about your safety. In addition, my strength completely transcends the outer sect. Use the cultivation resources here well." After releasing Xiao Yuyang from the array, Night Sorrow spoke to Xian Jizi. Xian Jizi had also ascended from the lower realm. His talent was actually quite good, but he had been silent for too many years. Night Sorrow was prepared to give the opportunity to cultivate in the outer sect to Xian Jizi so that he could focus on improving his strength. "This. Captain Xie." Xian Jizi, who knew Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts, didn't say anything polite. He fought with all his strength against Xiao Yuyang. In this battle, although Xian Jizi used all his methods, he was still no match for Xiao Yuyang. This made him very angry. In the past, he could fight across realms at will, but now he couldn't do it at all. "It's fine. Just quickly improve your strength. As long as you find your heart, you can still shake the world." Chapter 2559. Captain. Is this okay? I'm afraid. Xian Jizi took the jade tablet with an ugly expression. He was afraid that he couldn't bear the name Night Moon. "Don't worry. Few people in Tianyun School know me. If you say you're Night Moon, they won't kill you. When you're strong enough, you can climb the sky cloud ladder." Night Sorrow comforted him. "I'll interrogate Xiao Yuyang and understand the sex situation. Then I'll go visit my other friends. Before I leave, I'll set up a defensive array and let you control it." As soon as he arrived at the courtyard, some senior disciples rushed over. Night Sorrow knew that the other weaker disciples would also encounter the same thing, so he prepared to help. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they were the proud sons and daughters of heaven. The major forces would try to rope them in, so they definitely wouldn't target them. He wasn't worried at all. "Senior brother Xiao Yuyang. Tell me what you know." Night Sorrow released Xiao Yuyang again. You're shameless. Xiao Yuyang, who was released again, looked like he wanted to eat someone. But facing Night Sorrow, he didn't have the same imposing manner as before. How can I not be shameless? Hand over the sex points and hand over the beauties with both hands? Night Sorrow retorted. If you didn't like to bully new disciples, how could you encounter such a predicament? You're obviously very strong. Why did you pretend to be an ordinary disciple? Xiao Yuyang angrily rebuked. He felt that Night Sorrow's divine domain was even stronger than some monarch god seed disciples. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Tell me the general situation of the sect. Otherwise, you'll be imprisoned in the courtyard forever and be laughed at by the entire outer sect. Night Sorrow, who had been very calm, suddenly spoke with a heavy tone. Xiao Yuyang originally wanted to say something ruthless, but after thinking for a moment, he said, I'll tell you everything and then you'll let me go. I won't tell anyone about what happened today. You don't have the right to negotiate, but I will reduce your sentence appropriately. Night Sorrow knew that Xiao Yuyang was just a nobody in the entire Tianyun school, so the things he knew were limited. All right. I'll tell you everything I know. When Night Sorrow released a little bit of his divine domain, Xiao Yuyang would be suppressed to the point that he couldn't bear it. He didn't use the people behind him as a threat, and slowly explained the situation of Tianyun school. It turned out that the status of outer disciples in Tianyun school was quite low. They were not regarded as members of Tianyun school by inner disciples and above. As for inner court disciples, core disciples, and seed disciples, they were actually collectively called inner court disciples. Core disciples were the ones with the best talent among the inner disciples and were heavily nurtured by the sect. They might not be particularly strong, but their future was promising. As for seed disciples, they were disciples above the Divine Lord level. They weren't far from the Divine King and had already seen the dawn of becoming a Divine King. They were also called Divine King seeds. Some of the inner court alliances were controlled by these Divine King seeds. These Divine Lords were basically all core disciples who had cultivated to where they were now. Since ancient times, there had only been one exception. He wasn't a core disciple, but he became a Divine King seed and eventually became a Divine King. What's the name of the person who became a Divine King? Do you know? Night Sorrow asked curiously after hearing Xiao Yuyang talk about this legendary person. Back then, he used the name Jinyi. I heard that it wasn't his full name. No one knows what his real name is. It's said that he ascended from the lower world. This cultivator called Jinyi was a legendary person in Tianyun school. Xiao Yuyang admired him a lot when he talked about him. He ascended from the lower world, and he wasn't a core disciple. He's very similar to me, Night Sorrow murmured with a smile. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xiao Yuyang looked at him as if he were an idiot. If you go out and say this, you'll probably be beaten to death. What? Is this name so legendary? Night Sorrow asked noncommittally. He was very interested in and admired this legendary person, but he wasn't afraid of him. He's the last person to become a Divine King in Tianyun school. Now, all the Divine King seeds in the sect look up to him as a role model. If you say that you're very similar to their role model, won't you be beaten to death? Xiao Yuyang said speechlessly. All right, I know all this. I still have things to do. Go back and cultivate without any distracting thoughts. After understanding what Xiao Yuyang knew, Night Sorrow locked him back in the trapping array. You're not particular. You got so much information, but you didn't let me out. After being locked in the trapping array again, Xiao Yuyang's mood collapsed. At that moment, Night Sorrow replied, It's a good thing that I let you cultivate without any distracting thoughts. If you're still the same as before, you'll be killed sooner or later. All right. I'll cultivate properly. Xiao Yuyang understood the meaning behind his words. He knew that he couldn't get out, so he didn't waste any more words. He was tired of being a hired thug for the people above him. Old brother, I'm going to visit the other 2 disciples who entered the sect with me. You cultivate according to the ancient records for outer sect disciples. Before leaving, Knight Sorrow gave Xianjizi some instructions and left behind a spirit crystal. Alright, I, Xianjizi, definitely won't lose to the name of Night Moon. Xianjizi swore as he clutched his identity jade tablet. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Before leaving, Knight Sorrow comforted Xianjizi and told him not to worry too much. He changed into an outer sect disciple's uniform and went to look for the other 2 cultivators who entered the sect with him. Since they entered the sect together, they shouldn't be far from each other. Kid, wait a moment. Knight Sorrow had just left the courtyard when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan. Elder Lu, why are you here? Seeing Lu Qingyuan, Knight Sorrow was a little surprised. Of course I'm here to find you. With your talent, staying in the outer sect is obviously a waste of time. I'm going to arrange something else for you. Lu Qingyuan looked at Knight Sorrow with a terrifying expression. Elder Lu, if you have something to say, just say it. Knight Sorrow was a little scared by the other party's gaze. Huh, what are you afraid of? Do you think this elder will eat you? Seeing Knight Sorrow's reaction, Lu Qingyuan laughed and said, the specific arrangements will depend on your true strength. How about this, you come with me and climb the stairway to heaven again. Vice sect leader Yuan Tianji had told him to let Knight Sorrow develop on his own, but Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. Why must I climb the stairway to heaven? Knight Sorrow wondered. This elder wants to see your true potential, Lu Qingyuan said with a serious expression. Chapter 2560. Just this request? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan was a little startled by Knight Sorrow's words. This request was a little too simple. Yes, just this one request. As long as elder can help me clear up my doubts, Knight Sorrow will definitely do his best to climb the sky cloud ladder. However, there have been some problems with my power of merit recently, which may have affected the results of the sky cloud ladder. Knight Sorrow did not hide the fact that his power of merit was abnormal. What's going on with your power of merit? Lu Qingyuan, who originally wanted Knight Sorrow to ask questions, immediately asked about his power of merit. I've been using it too frequently recently and suffered a backlash. I reckon I need to obtain some merit before I can use it again. Knight Sorrow explained and said directly, also, my question is how to obtain the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. What do you want that elixir for? This question made Lu Qingyuan frown. Of course it's to save someone, Knight Sorrow said matter-of-factly. If you need other elixirs, I can immediately help you find them. However, I can't do anything about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. At the mention of the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir, Lu Qingyuan's face suddenly became gloomy. Elder, you mean you know about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir? When Knight Sorrow heard this, he immediately took out a jar of Aoi's wine from his spatial artifact and handed it to Lu Qingyuan. It's useless even if you give me wine. You can't get this elixir. No one in the Tianyun school can get it. Lu Qingyuan, who took the wine, gulped it down gloomily. Elder Lu, tell me what you know. Knight Sorrow will naturally go back to investigate. What do you mean by evading the topic? Lu Qingyuan obviously knew some inside information, but he did not say anything. Knight Sorrow was a little anxious. The Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir was related to whether or not the god Jinyuan could recover. He was still very concerned about it. Not to mention the god Jinyuan himself, all the things Long Tianqing had done for him made him very grateful. This favor had to be repaid. It's no use telling you. Only Lord Sect Master knows how to refine the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations pill, but Lord Sect Master has been missing for a long time. Lu Qingyuan finished the wine in the jar and sighed, sigh. It is precisely because of the disappearance of the headmaster that our Tianyun school has been declining day by day. Lord Sect Master is missing? Where did he go? Knight Sorrow quickly asked. Let's go. We'll talk as we walk. Lu Qingyuan summoned his mount. It was a saber leopard with a pair of wings. The winged saber leopard was dozens of feet long. Okay. Night Sorrow replied and flew onto the saber leopard's back. With Lu Qingyuan's permission, the Divine Lord Level Blade Leopard did not resist. Our sect master's soul lamp is still lit, but we can't divine his location at all. According to my and Vice Sect Master Yuan's judgment, our sect master was either imprisoned by a ruler or entered one of the 3 great forbidden grounds. On the saber leopard's back, Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. This matter was a secret of the Tianyun school. He did not speak of it openly. So that's how it is. This is troublesome. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. What is Lord Sect Master's strength? The Divine King Realm. Like the other 6 sect masters, he is infinitely close to becoming a ruler. He is only 1 step away. He can be considered a half-step ruler, Lu Qingyuan said proudly. There were a total of 7 known rulers in the God realm. Apart from them, the 7 sect masters of the Cloud Immortal Continent were the strongest. Then I think your judgment is wrong. There is another possibility. Lord Sect Master might have found a ruler's cave to break through to the ruler realm and is trapped inside. Or perhaps he is cultivating inside to break through to the ruler realm. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan and Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's judgment were both pessimistic. Night Sorrow's opinion was the opposite. You don't say. That is really possible. However, the number of rulers who have fallen in the God realm is limited. The opportunities have long been snatched away. Lu Qingyuan denied. Then he said, hopefully, Lord Sect Master has found an undiscovered cave and is cultivating inside. It was also a consolation for himself. Just think on the bright side. Night Sorrow consoled. Then he looked around. The entire Heaven Cloud Mountain was floating in the clouds. It was very beautiful. Tianyun School's various divine birds were flying leisurely in the forest. Dragons and phoenixes could be seen everywhere. Sitting on the saber leopard's back, Night Sorrow saw many species that did not exist in the 9 regions world. What? You want to tame one and make it your mount? Seeing Night Sorrow looking at the various divine birds, Lu Qingyuan asked with a smile. As a disciplinary elder, helping to tame a divine bird was a trivial matter. Tianyun School had an elder in charge of this. No, I'm just thinking about my friends when I first started cultivating. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He was thinking about his former companion, Tianyu, as well as his younger sister, Yi Nianxiao. Ascending to the God realm had been a bumpy road, but the Night Moon dynasty's development could be considered smooth. Many people had already broken through to the Feather God realm. He believed that the future would be even better. He was somewhat worried about his old friends in the lower realm. Don't forget your original intentions. Night Sorrow, you are a person who values relationships. I am optimistic about your future. Lu Qingyuan praised. Then he suddenly said, there is someone at the sky cloud staircase. Let's observe for a while before deciding whether or not to go down. We suspect that there is a spy in Tianyun School. It's best if you don't expose your true identity. He was already a half-step divine king, so his divine sense could cover a greater area than Night Sorrow's. He could sense that there was someone at the sky cloud staircase. It seems that when it comes to benefits, there will be a fight. Even the powerful Tianyun School could have a spy. This made Night Sorrow feel that there was no such thing as a pure land in the God realm. There seems to be something interesting down there. Lu Qingyuan did not respond to Night Sorrow's words. Using his divine sense, he said, the 2 beauties of Tianyun School are fighting. Their stakes are quite interesting. The 2 beauties of Tianyun School? Night Sorrow, who had just entered Tianyun School, did not know who these 2 beauties were. They are seed disciples, Sikong Qinxue and Nalan Shuang. They are both high divine lords and are ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Both of them have not changed their appearance. Half of the disputes between seed disciples are related to these two. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, change your appearance. I will take you down. You have the power of virtue protecting your body, so they should not be able to see your true appearance. Elder Lu, aren't you a disciplinary elder? You should be very strict. Why do I feel that your eyes are shining when you see beautiful women? Night Sorrow asked. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan did not look like a disciplinary elder at all. You don't know how outstanding they are. TSK, if I can marry any one of them, my Lu family's bloodline talent will be greatly improved. Lu Qingyuan's originally white beard turned black when he was about to go down, making him look a lot younger. You are an elder, you can be considered a teacher. Don't you feel shameless for thinking about the disciples of your sect? Besides, with your cultivation level, you still want to have children. Isn't that just a fool's dream? Before meeting the two beauties of Tianyun School, Lu Qingyuan had the appearance of an expert, but now he could not hold it anymore. Chapter 2561. As the saying goes, everyone has a love for beauty. What's wrong with an elder? An elder is also a human. The life of a cultivator in the God realm is almost endless. If you don't find a confidant to share it with, how sad would that be? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan, who was carefully inspecting the two beauties of Tianyun School, said with a sigh. He was originally an orphan, but his cultivation talent was not bad. He successfully entered Tianyun School and became a seed disciple. In the end, he stayed in Tianyun School as an elder. He gradually found the value of his existence, but he always had a regret in his life, and that was that no one accompanied him. His heart was always empty. It's indeed not a complete life without companionship. If there's a suitable one in the future, I'll help elder look out. Just now, when Lu Qingyuan said that he had obtained a beauty to improve the bloodline of the Lu family, Night Sorrow thought that he was a disciple of the family. Now that he heard that he was an orphan, he felt some sympathy. Night Sorrow's greatest achievement was not becoming the first emperor of the 9 regions world, nor was it becoming a powerful feather god who could challenge a divine lord, but having a complete and happy family. It was completely understandable that Elder Lu's loneliness could be understood. No need, no need. Now there's an opportunity. Haha. The heavens are really helping me, Lu Qingyuan. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lu Qingyuan hurriedly waved his hand to indicate that there was no need. He transmitted his voice. The content of their bet is very interesting. They bet on the result of climbing the stairway to heaven, and the loser has to marry the first man after the bet takes effect. They made a heavenly oath. As long as I'm the first to arrive, everything will be settled. Within tens of thousands of miles, Lu Qingyuan carefully used his divine sense to investigate. There were no other cultivators at all. As long as he went down and put Night Sorrow into his spatial artifact, there would be no competition. Isn't it too childish for the two of them to bet like this? Hearing such a bet, Night Sorrow was speechless. They were both divine lords, but they were like children. Xikong Qinxue and Nailan Shuang were both proud daughters of the Tianyun School's disciples, ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list, but they actually made such a bet. If the loser met a piece of trash, wouldn't that be a tragedy? You don't understand. Their enmity had been going on for a long time. Both of them admired the number 1 seed of the Divine King, Mu Baiyu. This time, they are probably confident in themselves and want to defeat the other party and force her to marry him. This way, their biggest competitor will be eliminated. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile, give up resisting and enter my spatial artifact. I don't want you to steal my good fortune. To tell you the truth, I have no interest in this kind of thing. But don't you think that you won't get true companionship like this? Night Sorrow was speechless. He asked, is Mu Baiyu really that outstanding to make 2 heavens proud daughters like this? Excellent, very excellent. He will be the future number 1 genius disciple of our Tianyun School. He had the bearing of the Divine King. Moreover, He was so handsome that many women felt ashamed of their inferiority. When he played the zither under the moonlight, he looked like a white-robed immortal. If I were a female cultivator, I would probably be tempted by him too. Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but shake his head at the mention of Mu Baiyu. That was a person that made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. Is the person you're talking about the legend called Jinyi? Night Sorrow, who had already entered Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, couldn't help but ask while sighing at Mu Baiyu's excellence. In comparison, he was more interested in the legend that everyone was talking about. Because that person was the same as him. They both ascended from the lower realm. Yes. We're here. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll let you out in a bit. When they got close, Lu Qingyuan laughed dryly. Then, he put on his usual serious appearance and descended towards the sky cloud staircase. Xikong Qinshue and Nalan Shuang, what are you two doing here? Are you going to challenge the sky cloud staircase? After landing, Lu Qingyuan stood with his hands behind his back, looking very calm. Greetings, disciplinary elder. We're here to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Elder is here? Xikong Qinshue and Nalan Shuang immediately greeted the disciplinary elder, Lu Qingyuan, when they saw him. Respecting one's teachers was the first rule of the Tianyun school. Naturally, they wouldn't go against it. However, during the process of greeting, Xikong Qinshue laughed and transmitted her voice to Nalan Shuang, your future husband has appeared. He's a couple of 10,000-year-old bachelors from the reincarnation cycle, and he also has a 10,000-year-old iceberg face like you. They're a perfect match. It's your husband. Nalan Shuang was just like her name. Her face was cold and gave people a feeling that she was 1,000 miles away. It was only when she was facing Mu Baiyu that she would smile. Well, I found a genius disciple and brought him to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, casually replied. Night Sorrow, come out. Greetings, senior sisters. After speaking, Lu Qingyuan let Night Sorrow out of the spatial artifact. A genius among the outer sect disciples? Originally, Xikong Qinshue and Nalan Shuang were interested in the genius disciple Lu Qingyuan spoke of because of his words. However, when they saw Night Sorrow, who was wearing the outer sect disciple's uniform, a trace of disappointment flashed across their faces. Ah. It's rare for an outer sect disciple to have the potential to become a core disciple, so I personally brought him here to test him. Quick, greet the two senior sisters. The two in front of you are super geniuses ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, explained in a low voice. Ever since he was promoted to the disciplinary elder, he had always been reserved. Junior brother greets the two senior sisters. Night Sorrow had already given Night Moon's identity token to Xian Jizi. It wasn't appropriate for him to say his name, so he directly referred to himself as junior brother. Seeing Night Sorrow greet her, Nalan Shuang, who had a cold expression on her face, only responded softly. She didn't even look at him. On the other hand, Xikong Qinshue looked at Night Sorrow with a smile and said, if you want to become a core disciple in the Divine Feather Realm, you need to reach at least 13,500 Dao Force. Junior brother, you have to work hard. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister. Senior sisters, you have arrived here first. Please take the lead and climb the sky cloud staircase. Junior brother can learn from this experience. Night Sorrow returned the greeting and said. At the same time, he thought of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. Both of their scores had exceeded 14,000 Dao Force, which meant that they had already become core disciples. Actually, climbing the sky cloud staircase doesn't have any skills. It's purely a test of strength. Since junior brother is a little nervous, senior sister will demonstrate it for you. Nalan Shuang didn't even bother with Night Sorrow. Xikong Qinshue replied with a smile and walked towards the sky cloud staircase. When she was about to climb the sky cloud staircase, she looked back at Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, don't forget our bet. I, Nalan Shuang, naturally won't go back on my word. Because the loser will definitely be you, Nalan Shuang said with a cold expression. Humph. I recently encountered an opportunity, and my strength has increased a lot. Just wait for your marriage. Sikong Chinchua snorted, then walked up the sky cloud staircase and started climbing. Elder, how high can these two senior sisters reach? At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice curiously. Chapter 2562. The Tianyun School has a standard to measure the geniuses. Feather God Realm, 13,500, High God Realm, 27,000, Divine Monarch Realm, 54,000. Both of them are well-known figures among the Divine Monarchs. Their results are definitely above 54,000. It's not easy to judge how good they are. Let's wait and see. Hearing Night Sorrow's question, Lu Qingyuan replied and started watching. Sikong Chinchua, who had just climbed the sky cloud stairs, didn't seem to feel any resistance. She was like a swift, or like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It wasn't until she passed the 40,000 step that her speed slowed down a little. While adjusting, she climbed up step by step. Night Sorrow. Who do you think is better between the two of them? If you were to choose, who would you choose? Sikong Chinchua's climbing process was a bit dull. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared to be serious, secretly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If I were to choose, I definitely wouldn't choose either of them. I'm a man with a family. If I were to give an elder a suggestion, I think it would be Sikong Chinchua. Nalan Shuang is cold and arrogant. She gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Night Sorrow said honestly. Each of his wives were outstanding beauties. He didn't have the slightest interest in Sikong Chinchua or Nalan Shuang. This elder is the opposite of what you are thinking. In any case, neither of them will be sincere when they're together with me. I might as well try the taste of an ice mountain beauty. In their heavenly Tao oath, they said that they would serve me in bed. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared calm and collected, transmitted his voice with a trace of vulgarity. I say, Elder Lu. In any case, you are a disciplinary elder. Can't you maintain some image? Night Sorrow, who heard the transmission, said speechlessly. Sai, do you think that I took the initiative to become a disciplinary elder? Back then, I was forced to do something beyond my ability by the sect master. However, I, Lu Qingyuan, have never made any mistakes in my position. I am worthy of the sect master's trust. Lu Qingyuan sighed. At this moment, he saw that Sikong Chinchua had already climbed to the 60,000 step. Her speed was already as slow as a snail. He asserted, she will finish climbing within 10 steps. I think she can climb at least 1 or 2,000 steps. Night Sorrow, who was looking over, could not see Sikong Chinchua's expression. But when he turned his head to the side, he saw a rare smile on Nalan Shuang's face. This proved that Nalan Shuang could easily climb this height. If Sikong Chinchua could be easily defeated by Nalan Shuang, she would definitely not gamble with her. She definitely had a trump card that she had not used yet. It's true. Lu Qingyuan's observation skills had plummeted because of the two beauties. After Night Sorrow spoke, he instantly saw Sikong Chinchua's body emitting a strange seven-colored light. After that, she continued ascending. Seems like you also have some tricks up your sleeve. Seeing that Sikong Chinchua was still climbing, Nalan Shuang's expression immediately turned cold. Sikong Chinchua, if you work harder, Nalan Shuang will be mine. Haha. Sikong Chinchua continued climbing. Lu Qingyuan proudly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He still preferred ice beauties. Elder, you are the disciplinary elder. Pay attention to your expression. Also, I'll have to trouble you to wipe your saliva. Yi Shang reminded him speechlessly. Lu Qingyuan's appearance was practically that of a pig. Ah, this. The peak of my life is about to arrive. This elder was a little too complacent. Please forgive me. Hearing the reminder, Lu Qingyuan immediately recovered his serious expression and secretly transmitted his voice. Nalan Shuang, watch carefully. 62,132 steps. At this moment, Sikong Qinshue, who was on the sky cloud staircase, shouted down. I see it. Come down. Nalan Shuang replied with a complicated expression and slowly walked towards the sky cloud staircase. Sikong Qinshue, who just came down, brushed past Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, I remember that your best result was just over 60,000 steps. You definitely won't be able to reach this result. Serve Elder Lu well in the future. It's not bad that you can find a home like him. At least it's better than marrying an outside disciple. It's better for you to serve Elder Lu well. This time, I will definitely win. Nalan Shuang replied with a cold expression. She released her divine domain and started climbing the sky cloud staircase. Her rhythm was similar to Sikong Qinshue's. She quickly reached 40,000 steps before slowing down. At this moment, Sikong Qinshue returned to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow's side. She looked at Lu Qingyuan with a smile and said, Elder Lu, I heard that you are unmarried. What do you think of Nalan? I feel that the two of you are very suitable. Haha. Qinshue, don't make fun of this elder. This elder can be said to be devoted to the Tianyun school until my death. How can I have time to think about these feelings? Lu Qingyuan pretended to decline, but in his heart, he said, Nalan Shuang is not bad. You are also quite good. Either of you is fine. No matter which one of you I take down today, I, Lu Qingyuan, will be very satisfied. Huh, elder. Look at you, you can't even close your mouth from smiling. Do you already know about our bet and your heart is already blooming? Lu Qingyuan couldn't control himself and was seen through by Sikong Qinshue. She laughed and joked. What bet? What bet? Lu Qingyuan pretended. He was a half-step divine king and was stronger than Sikong Qinshue. He was confident that his probing with his divine soul wasn't discovered. It doesn't matter if you know or not. Anyway, if Nalan Shuang loses to me, she will have to marry you and be your wife willingly. Sikong Qinshue raised her head to look at Nalan Shuang on the sky cloud stairs and smiled proudly. There is such a bet? Both of you are the genius disciples of our sect and will be the pillars of the divine realm in the future. Making such a bet is too childish. Lu Qingyuan pretended to be angry and said. You say it as if you are unwilling. Sikong Qinshue muttered in a low voice. At this time, everyone in the Clear Sky Pagoda also started to despise Lu Qingyuan. They felt that he was simply not on the same level as the disciplinary elder. Yang Lei suddenly asked sharply, Husband, to be honest, if you didn't meet us, who would you choose? Between the two of them, which one would you choose? Before meeting you, I would wait for your arrival peacefully. I wouldn't choose anyone else. Night Sorrow replied to Yang Lei's sharp question with a smile. Little 13, you really know how to talk. Hearing this answer, Aoi and the Clear Sky Pagoda immediately laughed. The others also smiled and felt that Night Sorrow's answer was very witty. At this time, Nalan Shuang had also climbed to the 60,000th step. She was like Sikong Qinshue just now and started to struggle. Elder Lu, I have to congratulate you. Seeing that Nalan Shuang's movements were slow, Sikong Qinshue cupped her fists towards Lu Qingyuan. At this time, Lu Qingyuan had the experience of the last time. He naturally wouldn't be fooled by appearances and said firmly, Nalan Shuang definitely still has some tricks up her sleeve. Chapter 2563. What's going on? Did she also get a fortuitous encounter? Seeing that Nalan Shuang's aura had become much stronger, Sikong Qinshue immediately became nervous. The person she liked was also Mu Baiyu. She definitely did not want to marry Lu Qingyuan. Let's just wait and see. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. His mentality was quite relaxed. If there was no Nalan Shuang, having Sikong Chinchue was also not bad. But soon, Lu Qingyuan was dumbfounded. After Nalan Shuang climbed to the 62,132nd step, although she tried her best, she could not continue climbing. In the end, she stopped at this height. Her result was exactly the same as Sikong Chinchue's. Hee, you two are not bad. This result should be around 5th place among the Divine King seeds. Lu Qingyuan pretended that nothing had happened and commented on their results. In fact, he wanted to cry. He transmitted his voice, Night Sorrow, help me find out if they have a tiebreaker. Elder, you should ask this question yourself. Both sides were tied. Lu Qingyuan was happy for a long time, but it was very likely that he was happy for nothing. Night Sorrow wanted to laugh. Why ask? How can I have the nerve to ask such a thing? Lu Qingyuan was speechless. Not long after, Nalan Shuang came down from the sky cloud ladder. She did not even look over and walked away with a gloomy expression. Seeing Nalan Shuang leave, Sikong Chinchue did not stop her. She said goodbye to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow and also left. What is this? The two women left one after another. Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he sighed repeatedly. He thought that good things had come from the heavens. Who would have thought that the two proud women would actually be tied? This means that you might not have any karma with them. It's better to rely on your own ability to find a Tao companion. Yishang smiled and comforted him, saying, Elder, go check and see if anyone is paying attention to this place. If not, I will go all out to climb the sky cloud ladder. After witnessing the Divine Feather Realm Prodigy and the Tianyun School's Divine King Seed climb the sky cloud ladder, he really wanted to give it a try. I've checked. There's no one around. If there is, then it must be the Divine King or the Juggernaut. If they want to hide, I naturally won't be able to discover them. After Lu Qingyuan finished speaking, he thought for a moment and said, do your best to climb the sky cloud ladder. I will arrange things for you according to your potential. At this moment, he had already thought of several routes for Night Sorrow. He would make arrangements based on the strength he displayed. All right, I'll do my best this time. Night Sorrow nodded and walked towards the sky cloud staircase step by step. When he reached the bottom of the staircase, he turned around and asked, can I borrow external forces like divine artifacts? Of course not. If you rely on a divine artifact or divine talisman, you will be directly teleported down by the sky cloud ladder. Even swallowing medicinal pills on top of it was not allowed. However, you can still use secret techniques to increase your strength, Lu Qingyuan explained. Okay. After receiving Lu Qingyuan's answer, Night Sorrow slowly stepped onto the sky cloud ladder. When he stepped onto the sky cloud ladder, a faint pressure immediately appeared. As he continued to climb, the pressure began to increase bit by bit. I wonder what kind of surprise you will bring me. As he watched Night Sorrow's figure gradually ascend, Lu Qingyuan put away his ambiguous thoughts and focused his attention on him. After Mu Baiyu, it had been a long time since a super genius joined the Tianyun school. As for Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, although they were ranked 10th to 20th on the Feather God list, past experience had proven that these kinds of geniuses wouldn't be able to play a decisive role in the 7th Sec tournament, 15,000. I've surpassed Yan Zheng, but the pressure doesn't seem to be that great. Night Sorrow, who was climbing with all his might, did indeed feel a lot of pressure when he reached the 15,000th step. This kind of pressure was extremely terrifying for normal feather gods and would make it difficult for them to even move. However, Night Sorrow didn't seem to be affected much. As expected of a legendary figure on both lists. He's definitely much stronger than Yan Zheng. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching Night Sorrow from below, stroked his beard in a very good mood. Not long after, Lu Qingyuan's pupils began to constrict. Night Sorrow had already passed the 20,000 mark. He was heading straight for the 27,000 mark for a deity core disciple. If he can really break through the 27,000 mark, then he'll probably be able to make it into the top 30 of the deity list. If he had that kind of strength as a feather god and broke through to the deity level, then he might have a chance in the deity level competition. As he watched Night Sorrow continue to climb, Lu Qingyuan felt a sweet worry in his heart. He didn't know if he should let Night Sorrow participate in the feather god or deity level competition. 27,000. He really did reach the top. Soon, Lu Qingyuan's eyes widened. He realized that the Tianyun school had really recruited a super genius. Perhaps he would become another Zhen Yi. Even if he couldn't reach Zhen Ye's level, becoming another Mu Baiyu wouldn't be a problem at all. Mu Baiyu hadn't been this strong when he was still a feather god, but he had won 7 feather god competitions in a row. Later on, he had won 5 consecutive championships in the deity level competition. He was the final glory of the Tianyun school. It was very likely that this kind of glory would appear again. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had deep feelings for the Tianyun school, not be excited? More importantly, he was the one who had discovered this genius. 30,000. I can still go up. But it should be enough. By the time he reached the 30,000 step, Night Sorrow had already activated the 33 Skies battle secret technique. His strength had increased tenfold, but he was starting to find it difficult to continue. Furthermore, he couldn't use the 7 stars berserk together with the 33 Skies battle secret technique, so he was already at his limit. Night Sorrow let out a long sigh and muttered to himself as he continued to climb. What? He can still continue climbing after 30,000? Lu Qingyuan, who was standing below, was so shocked that he was speechless. When Zhen Yi had joined the Tianyun school, he had already left the feather god realm. Naturally, he couldn't have set a new record. The Tianyun school's feather god realm record had been set by the sect master when he was young, reaching 28,000 steps. Mu Baiyu, the number 1 genius among the divine king seeds, had reached 27,000 steps when he was at the feather god realm. Now, not only had Night Sorrow broken the Tianyun school's feather god realm record, but he was still climbing. As he watched him climb with difficulty, Lu Qingyuan even felt that Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang's achievements were insignificant. 31,220 steps. In the end, Night Sorrow stopped at this number. At this height, he truly felt as if the heavens were crushing him. He had no choice but to give up. He knew that this wasn't his limit. If he could use his power of virtue, he would definitely be able to continue climbing. Even so, this result still left Lu Qingyuan dumbfounded. When Night Sorrow came down, his eyes were shining. He tightly grasped Night Sorrow's hand and said, I don't think that genius is enough to describe you. Did you know that you've already broken the sect master's feather god realm record? And you've even surpassed it by 3,000 steps. Only 3,000? Night Sorrow was somewhat dissatisfied when he heard this number. It wasn't that he didn't respect his seniors, but that he felt that he was very likely the strongest feather god in the history of the god realm. There should be a large gap between him and the others. You're still not satisfied with 3,000? Do you know that the sect master is a peerless expert who has the ability to break through to the ruler realm? There are currently only 7 rulers in the god realm. You're so much stronger than him, yet you're still not satisfied? Lu Qingyuan said unhappily. Chapter 2564. Who can say for sure what the future holds? Night Sorrow shook his head and said, Elder, if it's possible, Night Sorrow has a request. What is it? Lu Qingyuan, who was in a very bad mood, raised his hand and said. Facing someone who was likely to become a ruler in the future, he was a little uncertain. Currently, he was a half-step divine king and also the disciplinary elder of Tianyun school. His status was definitely higher than a feather god, but it would definitely be reversed in the future. I ascended from the lower world and brought my entire family here to find a pure land for my family. I wonder if Tianyun school has such a suitable area? Night Sorrow spoke slowly with a hint of expectation. He had already shown the relevant talent, and he believed that the people of Tianyun school would understand. Seeing Night Sorrow's expression, Lu Qingyuan immediately understood. As long as Tianyun School did the right thing, Night Sorrow would definitely stay here wholeheartedly. If the sect master was here, we would definitely be able to fulfill your request. But now that the sect master has been missing for many years, the Tianyun School's situation is a little complicated. Vice sect leader Yuan was originally the next sect leader appointed by the sect leader. But now, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun's faction is constantly making small moves and seems to want to seize power. The relationship between the two factions is very delicate. Lu Qingyuan explained and then continued, if we rashly arrange such an area for you, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun might be able to use it against us. Unless you can make a great contribution to the sect. How much contribution do I need to get an independent mountain like the one with the Divine King seed? Night Sorrow asked. He had already seen in the ancient records that Divine King seeds like Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang were rewarded with mountains by the sect. This kind of mountain was an independent space that belonged to the Divine King seed. If he could get one, the people of Night Moon Dynasty would have a place to settle down. There's an opportunity right in front of you. 2 years later was the Seven Sect Grand Competition, also known as the Seven Sect Martial Meeting. The most outstanding feather gods and high gods of the 7 great sects would all participate. As long as you can get first place in the feather god group, Vice Sect Master Yuan and I will have a reason to help you. Lu Qingyuan sighed, ever since Mu Baiyu, our Tianyun School hasn't gotten first place in the 7 sect tournament for a long time. Is that all I need to do? Alright, I agree. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the sect had its rules. It was impossible for him to shut everyone up just because of his outstanding talent. However, if he were to show solid results, then some people would have no excuse to obstruct him. How long do you need to break through to High God? At this time, Lu Qingyuan asked. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would accidentally break through in 2 years. If he became a deity, it might not be so easy for him to win first place. As long as I want to break through, I should be able to do so at any time. I was planning to break through as soon as I joined the sect. You've been stuck at the Divine Feather Realm for a long time. Your cultivation is too low. Yi Shang climbed onto Lu Qingyuan's steed at his signal. Don't break through. Our Tianyun School's morale is low right now. We're just waiting for you to shine in the 7 sect tournament. You have a high chance of getting first place in the Feather God realm. But if you become a high god, it might not be so safe. Lu Qingyuan persuaded, I'll take you to Vice Sect Master Yuan first. We'll discuss what to do with you for the next 2 years. Originally, Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. However, Yi Shan had completely displayed his talent, so he had immediately rejected the plan he had thought of. He was afraid that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control himself and would suddenly become a high god. Okay. Night Sorrow replied. He casually mentioned the matter of giving his identity token to Xian Jizi and asked if there would be any negative effects. This kind of thing is very common in the Tianyun School. Many genius disciples give their identity tokens to their subordinates to manage. As for you, Vice Sect Master and I will make a new one for you, Lu Qingyuan replied as they flew. He didn't want to expose Night Sorrow's talent before the tournament. After all, there might be spies in the Tianyun School. Okay, I'll follow Elder's arrangements. Night Sorrow didn't want to think too much about it. Not long after, he was led by Lu Qingyuan to Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's place. Vice Sect Master, this is Night Sorrow, the person I mentioned before. Lu Qingyuan took Night Sorrow's arm and introduced him as they walked into Yuan Tianji's living room. At the same time, he reported Night Sorrow's performance on the stairway to heaven. He's really a rare genius. He's only a feather god, but his aura is not weaker than an ordinary monarch god. Yuan Tianji couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Night Sorrow's stairway to heaven result. He then calmed down and said with a smile, Night Sorrow, welcome to the Tianyun School. I believe you and the Tianyun School will help each other. If you have any requests, you can tell me. I'll try my best to fulfill them. Night Sorrow ascended from the lower realm and brought his entire family to find a pure land for his family. Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji took the initiative to ask. Knight Sorrow repeated what he said to Lu Qingyuan. Well, let me think about it. Yuan Tianji thought for a while and asked, how many people do you have in your family? Is it more than 10 million? The population isn't that great. There aren't that many people, Yi Shang said. Elder Lu has already told me that you agreed to participate in the 7-sect tournament. Let's do it this way. For 2 years, let your people cultivate in my mountain. When you return from the tournament, I'll arrange a mountain with the most abundant god spiritual chi for you. Yuan Tianji arranged Knight Sorrow's people and looked at him. As for you, don't cultivate in these 2 years, and don't do any sect missions. You can stay here and learn alchemy, equipment, and array formations. I'm the #1 alchemist in the sect other than the sect master. I should be qualified to teach you. Vice Sect Master, do you know anything about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill? Although he asked Lu Qingyuan the same question, Knight Sorrow still asked about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill. Only the sect master knows how to refine this pill, but we don't know where he is now. Yuan Tianji explained. However, the sect master's pill recipe came from a secret realm. That secret realm will open again in 1,000 years. When that time comes, I'll arrange for you to enter. Vice Sect Master, that mystic realm needs Divine Lord realm to be able to enter. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan immediately reminded. It's okay. Knight Sorrow has the strength of an ordinary Divine Lord in the Divine Feather realm. 1,000 years later, he might be able to compete with Elder Lu. There won't be a problem going to that secret realm. Yuan Tianji looked at Yi Shang and suddenly smiled. I wonder if you've ever had a master during your cultivation journey? He meant that he wanted to take him in as a disciple. I had masters in the lower realm. Knight Sorrow told him about all his masters in the lower realm. After waiting for him to finish speaking, Yuan Tianji continued, in terms of cultivation, your future path may be further than mine. However, for now, my understanding of Divine Lords and the Divine King is definitely deeper than yours. I have the ability to teach you. Vice Sect Master, the matter of apprenticeship involves too much karma. Let me think about it for a few days. Yuan Tianji was very strong, and he was also the Vice Sect Master of Tianyun School. However, they didn't know each other well. Chapter 2565. All right. Since that's the case, I'll arrange for you and your clansmen to rest. I'll order people to send over books related to alchemy, crafting, and formations. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to come here and ask. Knowing what Knight Sorrow meant, Yuan Tianji didn't force him. He arranged for Knight Sorrow and the Night Moon clan to stay in a bamboo forest by the lake. He gave Knight Sorrow a token. He said, with this token, you can walk around the sect as you please. If anyone makes things difficult for you, just inject your divine origin energy into the token. Thank you, Vice Sect Leader. Knight Sorrow, who received the token, thanked him and invited, Vice Sect Leader and Elder Lu, why don't you stay for a drink before you leave? At this time, everyone from the Night Moon clan had already come out. Some of them were setting up the courtyard. Knight Sorrow's wife and daughter were carefully preparing the banquet. Everyone had been in an abyss of suffering in the divine realm. Now that they finally had a relatively safe place to stay, they were all in a good mood. All right. I haven't been in the mood to drink in a long time. Today, with you joining the Tianyun school, I'm in a good mood. I'll drink to my heart's content. I'll go invite Madam. I'll be back soon. Yuan Tianji, who received the invitation, happily agreed. As for Lu Qingyuan, after Knight Sorrow introduced his wives, he didn't want to talk to Knight Sorrow anymore. He lamented that the heavens were too unfair. However, after drinking, he completely forgot about his unhappiness. He felt that Jing Yun, this divine lord, was very good. She was strong, talented, and extremely beautiful. However, when he paid careful attention, he noticed that Jing Yun would often inadvertently glance at Knight Sorrow during the banquet. Lu Qingyuan's heart was filled with sorrow. The family banquet was joyous and harmonious. After entertaining the guests and sending them off, Knight Sorrow accompanied his family for a few days in peace. Half a month later, when he returned to the outer sect to visit Xianjizi, he found that there were already more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. These people were probably here to cause trouble and were trapped by the formation. Knight Sorrow didn't care about them, but when he saw Xianjizi, he immediately flew into a rage. At this moment, Xianjizi was seriously injured. He was lying on the bed on his last breath. "Brother, take this pill." He walked to Knight Sorrow's bedside, took out a healing pill, and gave it to Xianjizi. He asked, "Brother, who hurt you?" 2 days ago, I went to exchange for cultivation resources and met an inner disciple named Nalanda. He saw that I had a lot of sect points and asked for them. If he couldn't get it, he would immediately snatch it. In the end, I wasn't strong enough and the sect points in my identity jade token were taken away. Xianjizi coughed up a mouthful of blood and began to recount the events of that day. Although the status of the outer sect disciples isn't high, they were beaten up for no reason and even had their sect spots snatched away in public. Does no one care about this matter? When Knight Sorrow, Yuan Tianji, and Lu Qingyuan were drinking, they already knew that the Tianyun school had dozens of monarch god-level law enforcement elders. They were distributed in various areas of the sect and would immediately appear if there was a fight within the sect. At that time, an elder appeared, but when he saw that the attacker was Nalanda, he only said one sentence: "Don't kill anyone." Xianjizi took the Divine Soul Recovery Pill and immediately recovered a lot. He continued, "I heard from the onlookers that Nalanda has a sister who is a Divine King seed. The law enforcement elders that appeared didn't dare to offend that person." Nalanda? Could his sister be called Nalan Shuang? Hearing Xianjizi mention this, Knight Sorrow immediately thought of Nalan Shuang who climbed the sky cloud ladder. At that time, she had reached a height of more than 60,000 feet. She was indeed very strong. I think that's the name. Xianjizi thought for a moment and nodded. "Brother, recover a bit. I'll take you back to your sect spot later." "How many sect points have we been robbed?" There were more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. Knight Sorrow knew that Xianjizi must have obtained a lot of sect points. Xianjizi replied, "There are a total of 40,000 sect points. The one trapped outside is one of the top 10 experts in the outer sect. He alone contributed 30,000 points. More than 40,000 points. No wonder it would arouse Nalanda's greed." Knight Sorrow said in a low voice, then looked at Xianjizi and asked, "Brother, can you find Nalanda's residence?" "This, I really don't know." Xianjizi had just entered the sect, so how could he know this? "I'll just go to the inner sect to see Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. They should be core disciples now." Knight Sorrow knew that the core disciples of Tianyun school had a higher status than the inner sect disciples, but they didn't have the privileges of a divine king seed. When Xianjizi had almost recovered, he took him to the inner sect to look for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. With the vice sect master's token, he didn't encounter any obstruction. After searching for half a day, the two of them met one of Si Kongxiang's servants. This servant had seen Knight Sorrow in Si Kongxiang's spatial artifact. He recognized him and brought him to the courtyard where Si Kongxiang was. "Brother Night Moon, you're here. I've encountered some trouble recently, so I didn't go to see you. Please forgive me." Si Kongxiang was very happy to see Knight Sorrow, but there was something on his face. Knight Sorrow could see that he had something on his mind and asked, "Brother Si Kong, what trouble have you encountered? Tell me and see if I can help you." Si Kongxiang sighed and said, "It's like this. My cousin's name is Si Kong Chinxue. She is the divine king seed of Tianyun school. She has a love rival called Nalan Shuang. That Nalan Shuang has a younger brother in the inner sect called Nalanda. My cousin asked me to find a way to beat him up. But he is on the divine list, and I am only an invincible feather god. I am not his opponent at all. A person on the divine list, so he is also a core disciple." Night Sorrow originally came here to find Nalanda. Hearing Si Kongxiang talk about this matter, he immediately became interested. He was prepared to find out more about this Nalanda. He is a person on the divine list, but it seems that he is only ranked in the 80s. He reached the height of 24,000 on the heaven cloud ladder and was not promoted to a core disciple. Si Kongxiang explained and said helplessly, although he is not a core disciple, that kind of strength is not something we can deal with. I can deal with him, but it is not suitable for me to expose my identity at the moment. Let's think of a way to beat him up. Night Sorrow did not care about Nalanda's strength at all. However, according to Yuan Tianji and Lu Qingyuan, it was best for him to keep a low profile before the 7-sect tournament and not expose his true identity. The best choice was to secretly make a move. Brother Yi, are you kidding? You said you can deal with Nalanda? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Si Kongxiang looked at him in disbelief. After all, he only showed the aura of the Feather God realm. I am 100% confident. Night Sorrow felt that it was not a big deal to show his strength in front of Si Kongxiang, so he immediately released a powerful divine domain. Under the suppression of his divine domain, Si Kongxiang even felt that it was difficult to breathe. Immediately, his expression changed and he exclaimed, Brother Yi, your strength is so amazing. Could you be the legendary Night Sorrow? It is me. However, it is not convenient to disclose it now. Please keep it a secret, Brother Sikong. Night Sorrow said and continued, my friend, a few days ago, Nalanda snatched the sect spot. I just want to deal with him. With Brother Night Sorrow's help, it will be easy to deal with Nalanda. Si Kongxiang whispered, actually, I have recently studied Nalanda's habits thoroughly. He has a special hobby. Every half a month, he will leave the heavenly cloud mountain and have a tryst with a widow at the foot of the mountain. We will beat him up in the temple where they have their tryst. Okay. Chapter 2566. Brother Yi, are you hiding your identity because the upper echelons of the sect wanted you to? Do they want you to make a name for yourself in the 7-sect tournament? After studying this matter, Si Kongxiang asked curiously. He and Mei Ruoshua joined the Tianyun school at this time. It was obvious that they had plans for the 7-sect tournament. The two of them had backers in the Tianyun school, so they knew more about the 7-sect tournament than Night Sorrow. They knew that the 7-sect tournament's rewards were very generous. It's because of this consideration. Night Sorrow nodded and admitted. With Brother Ye's help, the Tianyun school will definitely shine in the Feather God group this time. However, our Tianyun school doesn't have any experts in the High God realm. The highest ranking person is only ranked 11th on the High God list. It would be embarrassing if they went. Si Kongxiang already knew some things about the Tianyun school before he joined the sect. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, no one can be sure about these things. What if a high god expert appears in the sect? Maybe. Si Kongxiang nodded and stared at Night Sorrow. Brother Yi, I want to ask you for a favor. What is it? Night Sorrow asked. I want to ask you to be my brother-in-law. You don't know, but my sister Sikong Chinshue has been bewitched by that pretty boy Mu Baiyu. I think there's something wrong with that Mu Baiyu. He seems to know some sorcery. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter. Night Sorrow was speechless. He thought for a moment and asked, isn't Mu Baiyu the #1 genius in the Tianyun school? Logically speaking, he doesn't need to know sorcery to make many female disciples fall for him, right? He definitely knows sorcery. Otherwise, why would Mei Ruoshua lose her appetite after seeing him? When this matter was brought up, Si Kongxiang, who was Mei Ruoshua's childhood friend, was rather unhappy. Maybe his demeanor is indeed outstanding. Night Sorrow sighed and said, Brother Sikong, when are we leaving? He was already itching to take care of Nalanda and avenge Xian Jizi. It's fine if we leave immediately. We can go to the city at the foot of the mountain to relax. I'll let my sister know and we'll leave. Wait for me here. After Si Kongxiang finished speaking, he ran to Sikong Chinshua's mountain peak. After informing her, he came back and went down the mountain with Night Sorrow. There were still a few days before Nalanda's rendezvous in the ruined temple. The two of them strolled around the city at the foot of the mountain for a few days. Night Sorrow bought some female cultivator supplies for his wife and daughter that were not available in the lower realm. Si Kongxiang carefully chose a gift for Mei Ruoxue. After purchasing the things, Si Kongxiang suggested, calculating it, "It's about time. Let's go to that ruined temple in advance and wait." They always choose that place for their rendezvous. "Okay. Let's go, let's ambush there. I'll set up a concealment array when the time comes." Night Sorrow responded and followed behind Si Kongxiang, flying to the ruined temple he mentioned. The ruined temple was on a barren mountain. There were few people here. If Si Kongxiang hadn't specifically investigated Nalanda, he definitely wouldn't have found any clues. Walking into the ruined temple, Night Sorrow observed for a while and set up an exquisite concealment array in a corner. "Did you send someone to check the identity of that widow?" Night Sorrow asked while waiting for Nalanda to arrive. "I only found out that she's a widow in the city. I didn't find anything else," Si Kongxiang said truthfully. His target was Nalanda, not that widow. Naturally, he wouldn't investigate in detail. Then let's wait in peace." Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on the ground, waiting for Nalanda to arrive. After waiting for about 3 days, a sound came from outside the ruined temple. Then, a beautiful woman in a light yellow gauze dress slowly walked into the ruined temple. After entering the ruined temple, she vigilantly scanned her surroundings. Then, she used the power of her divine sense to investigate her surroundings. When she didn't find anything amiss, she took out a large bed covered in white tiger skin from her spatial artifact and lay down on it to rest. Baby, I'm here." Not long after, Nalanda, who was burning with anxiety, ran in from outside. Seeing the woman on the tiger skin bed, he took off his clothes and threw himself on the bed, stripping her naked. After being intimate for a while, Nalanda wanted to take his spear and go to battle. At this time, the beautiful woman said, "Wait, did you bring the thing I wanted?" I brought it. This is a letter from Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun." Nalanda, who was in a hurry, took out an envelope from his spatial artifact and handed it to the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman under him took it and looked at it. Then, she nodded her head in satisfaction. She said charmingly, "Come." Nalanda, who had long been unable to hold back, immediately began to move. Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun's letter, could there be a conspiracy in it? Si Kongxiang transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow in the concealment array. "I heard from Deputy Sect Leader Yuan that there might be a spy in Tianyun School. Now it seems that Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun is the spy." Night Sorrow frowned and said, "They use such primitive means to communicate with each other. There must be a secret that can't be revealed. Then what should we do? Kill them and read the contents of the letter?" Si Kongxiang, who was already eager to try, looked at the constantly moving Nalanda and said, "If not for this unexpected discovery, we could have beaten Nalanda up right now. But after discovering this matter, we need to stay put to avoid alerting the enemy." After they leave, we will report to Deputy Sect Leader Yuan. If Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun colludes with outsiders, it will be a big blow to Tianyun School. Originally, Night Sorrow just wanted to beat Nalanda up and vent his anger for Xian Jizi. He didn't expect to accidentally stumble upon such a secret. He didn't want to alert the enemy, so he signaled Si Kongxiang to stay put. He took out an image stone and recorded the scene in front of him. "Brother Yi, you have this kind of hobby? You like to record other people doing it?" Si Kongxiang was immediately surprised when he saw Night Sorrow's actions. "Record what? Words are useless. We naturally need to record evidence." Unfortunately, when they mentioned Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun, they didn't start recording. Night Sorrow explained and continued recording. After Nalanda finished and left with the beautiful woman, he and Si Kongxiang left the barren mountain. After returning to Tianyun school, Night Sorrow immediately took Si Kongxiang to see Yuan Tianji. After seeing Yuan Tianji, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang told him what they had just seen. What? Ho Jun actually asked Nalanda to deliver a letter for him to contact the people outside the sect. Give this king the image stone you recorded. Yuan Tianji took the image stone from Night Sorrow's hand and looked at it. This woman seems to be from Soaring Heaven sect. Ho Jun contacting her, I don't know what he's planning. Could it be that he wants to attack Tianyun school from the inside? Night Sorrow analyzed. No. They wouldn't dare. Chapter 2567. The 7-sect Great Tournament is likely to be an ambush, right? Their intention is to cut off Tianyun School's future talents. Night Sorrow guessed. He hadn't been in the sect for long, but he could more or less guess. If a sect's feather god grade and high god grade geniuses were all killed, the blow to their future would be fatal. Not only that, the one they want to deal with the most is probably Elder Qin Yuan. Yuan Tianji said angrily, Elder Qin Yuan is an important figure in our camp and is this king's right-hand man. He will be leading the 7-sect Great Tournament, so Ho Jun probably wants to use this opportunity to get rid of him. If Ho Jun only wanted to compete for the position of sect master, Yuan Tianji wouldn't be so angry, but he was likely colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, which was the most shameful act. If the other side cooperates with us and sends out enough masters, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to resist. Lu Qingyuan's face was a little gloomy. If Night Sorrow hadn't found some clues, he might have died 2 years later. To put it bluntly, this time he had borrowed Night Sorrow's luck, but what about the next time? If he was targeted again and again, he would fall for it sooner or later. Since they have made a move, it must be like a lion going all out to catch a rabbit. Yuan Tianji admitted that this matter was tricky. He pondered for a while and said, but we already know about this matter. Not only do we have to solve this crisis, but we also have to give them a heavy blow. We have to record the entire process with a video crystal and publicize Ho Jun's scandalous deeds. Vice Sect Master, if we get rid of Ho Jun's forces, but the sect's vitality will be greatly damaged. Won't other sects covet it? Lu Qingyuan asked worriedly. He had deep feelings for Tianyun School and didn't want the sect to completely decline. We will be coveted and may be attacked in a probing manner, but if they want to seize the foundation of my Tianyun School, they won't dare. Yuan Tianji responded confidently. Looking at Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang, he said, you have to have confidence in the future of the sect. At the moment of life and death, our sect will erupt with a powerful foundation. Disciple also has confidence in the future of the sect. Disciple knows what the sect's foundation is. Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile, now, the sect not only has a foundation, but also Night Sorrow, so it will definitely rise. Us feather gods won't have much of an impact on this battle. If we want to rise up in the future, we have to give them a good beating. While ye sex strength sects, Tianyun, sex forces S's sex sect if Night Sorrow broke through to the high god realm, he would undoubtedly be able to compete with most of the divine monarchs, but Tianyun School was determined to win first place in the great competition, so after thinking about it, Yuan Tianji felt that he could only focus on spirit arrays and pills. He had already determined that Ho Jun and Soaring Heaven sect would act, so preparing some pills that could instantly restore divine chi or heal injuries would have a great impact on the battle. If he could take advantage of the terrain and arrange a spirit array that could affect the enemy's combat strength, it would be even more perfect. Night Sorrow is right. This time, this king will make them suffer. Wait for this king here for a while. Yuan Tianji said before leaving for a while, returning with a jade token in his hand. He handed the jade token to Night Sorrow and said, this is the seed disciple identity jade token that this king personally refined for you. Wear it and you will be a seed disciple from now on. But Night Sorrow has yet to make any significant contributions to the sect, yet the vice sect master directly promoted Night Sorrow to a divine king seed. Won't this cause you trouble? Looking at the jade token, Knight Sorrow did not take it with his hand, fearing that it would cause trouble for the other party. There's no trouble. Tianyun School's sect master can recommend 2 people to become Divine King seeds in his lifetime. The 2 vice sect masters each have 1 opportunity. This king will use this opportunity on you, Yuan Tianji explained. Knight Sorrow, quickly accept it. You are worthy of becoming the first Divine King seed in the history of the sect. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Accept it, Knight Sorrow. As long as this king is in Tianyun School will do its best to cultivate you. Yuan Tianji's face showed a trace of expectation. Alright, then I'll accept it. Knight Sorrow will not let the 2 of you and the entire Tianyun School down. Since he had already decided to join the Tianyun School, Knight Sorrow no longer hesitated. He took the jade token and cupped his hands. It's really different from the jade token of a core disciple. Seeing the Divine King Seed Identity jade token in Knight Sorrow's hand, Si Kongxiang said with envy. The Divine King Seed Identity jade token was not only different from the core disciple token in terms of material and appearance, but it also represented a different meaning. If Knight Sorrow wore the jade token outside, the outer and inner disciples would have to salute him when they met. Cultivate well. You have a bright future as well. Strive to reach Qinshue's level as soon as possible. The outstanding disciples of the Sikong family were all sent to Tianyun School. Yuan Tianji was very familiar with Si Kongxiang and encouraged him with a smile. Vice Sect Master. Si Kongxiang always felt that Sister Qinshue's infatuation with Mu Baiyu was a little abnormal. Do you think that Mu Baiyu cultivated some kind of evil technique? Si Kongxiang said with a look of displeasure. In the past, Sikong Qinsue was immersed in cultivation. Now, her entire heart was tied to Mu Baiyu. This made him feel very strange. Haha. A person is like a rainbow. You will only know when you meet her. When you meet a woman that you truly like, you won't say that about Qinsue. Yuan Tianji smiled and said, Mu Baiyu's excellence is enough to crush an entire generation. It's normal for Qinsue to be moved by him. Could it be that I'm only Ruoshue's childhood friend and that I don't really like her? Si Kongxiang muttered and did not continue the conversation. At this time, Knight Sorrow suddenly thought of something and said, That's right, Vice Sect Master, Elder Lu. A few days ago, Soaring Heaven Sect sent a divine monarch called Qin Yangzi to recruit me. At that time, he raised a divine monarch-level demon in his divine artifact. I suspect that Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon. What? Otherworldly demon? Are you sure it's an otherworldly demon? Hearing this, a trace of shock appeared on Yuan Tianji's face. To the cultivators of the God realm, otherworldly demons were too evil and terrifying. I'm 90% sure that it's an otherworldly demon. Knight Sorrow said with certainty. Whether it's the ethereal mountain range or the dark forest, they are all forbidden areas of the God realm. Even a ruler would find it difficult to come out after entering. The fact that Qin Yangzi has an otherworldly demon is enough to explain the problem. Yuan Tianji said worriedly, Otherworldly demons are evil by nature. They won't give up on destroying the God realm. If Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon, it's very likely that they don't care about the consequences of their actions against my Tianyun School. It seems that we need to make more preparations than expected. Yes, if an otherworldly demon infiltrates, the situation will be completely different. Lu Qingyuan's expression was equally serious. He suggested, should we send someone to follow Nalanda? No, he's just a pawn to deliver a message. We don't need to follow him. It's better to believe in this matter than not. Whether it's on the way there or when we return, we just need to be prepared for battle. Chapter 2568. After leaving Yuan Tianji's mountain, Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang sent Xian Ji back to the outer sect. After discovering that Ho Jun might be colluding with Soaring Heaven Sect, they decided not to touch Nalanda for the time being. They didn't want to alert the enemy. After that, Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang visited Mei Ruoxue and several other disciples who had entered the sect at the same time. Everyone gathered together and drank. Si Kongxiang didn't reveal that Knight Sorrow was already a divine king seed. Everyone thought that he was just an ordinary outer sect disciple and got along well with him. However, it could be seen that the others were more afraid of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, two core disciples. After this day, Knight Sorrow returned to the bamboo forest that Yuan Tianji had arranged for him. He stayed with his family for 3 days. He entered the Clear Heaven Pagoda and studied the spirit array inside. He studied the spirit array of Zhenyuan Divine Lord and Long Tianqing, combined with the Divine Essence Dragon Locking Array, and spent 180 years to master it. After that, he tried to integrate the power of virtue into it. This was naturally to deal with the extraterrestrial demon. Let's call it the 33 Heavens Merit Array. After thoroughly studying the spirit array, Knight Sorrow gave it a name and then went to find Lu Qingyuan, wanting him to test the effect of the spirit array. After seeing Lu Qingyuan, Knight Sorrow found that his face was very ugly. So he asked, "Elder Lu, what's wrong?" Sigh. After you went into seclusion for a year, the elders of Heavenly Martial Pavilion brought their disciples to our Tianyun school. Their Heavenly Martial Pavilion had Yan Jifei, ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, who injured all 5 of our sect's chosen feather gods. They were so arrogant. Lu Qingyuan clenched his fists in anger and said, they didn't stop after injuring a few feather gods. They even mocked our Tianyun school's high gods, saying that they were all idiots. They have Meng Du, who is ranked 4th on the high gods list. Our high gods are no match for them and can only hold their anger. Are they still here? Knight Sorrow asked. He wanted to avenge Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. The other party was a bully, and they even dared to bully their own sect. This was too much. He didn't leave. He said he would leave with us. Lu Qingyuan explained and then tried to persuade him, Knight Sorrow, you are my sect's trump card. Don't be rash, it won't be too late to teach them a lesson after the 7-sect grand competition. Good. Just bear with it for a while longer. When do we leave? How are the arrangements for the vice sect leader? Knight Sorrow asked. The trip to the 7-sects grand competition would not be a smooth one, thus he had to clarify some things. I should have left 3 months ago, but I've been waiting for you. In addition, the vice sect leader had already made all the necessary arrangements. This time, we are mobilizing a Divine King level Grand Elder, 5 half-step Divine Kings, and 20 Divine Monarchs. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishang. This doesn't include the 10 Divine Lord level enforcement elders on the surface. They are all in my spatial artifact. So many experts. Even the Divine King has been mobilized. Knight Sorrow was very surprised to hear that so many experts were mobilized at once. In addition, if there was a Divine King to fight, he was worried that his array formation level was still too low. Just in case. This is one of the trump cards of my Tianyun school, but there are even stronger ones. Lu Qingyuan said proudly. Although the Tianyun school did not have any sovereigns, the Divine King's numbers were not inferior to the other sovereigns. However, these Divine King were usually cultivating in seclusion and did not show up at all. At this moment, Knight Sorrow asked, Elder Lu, are all the people in your spatial artifact reliable? I want to test an array formation. Of course. They are all the mainstays of our side. Some of them have never shown their faces. Lu Qingyuan promised. Okay. Elder Lu, come with me to test the array. Knight Sorrow then invited Lu Qingyuan into the Treastrimsa virtuous array he had set up. What array is this? It's mixed with virtuous power and reincarnation power. It looks ordinary, but it can weaken my strength. Lu Qingyuan tried all kinds of methods to break the array formation, but none succeeded. He also felt that his strength had been greatly weakened. He could not help but praise the array's wonders. To be able to set up such a wondrous array formation at the Divine Wing realm, this night's sorrow that you and the vice sect leader recommended is indeed 10 talents. The divine King Zhuangqing, who was hidden in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, could not help but praise. Although the array formation that Night Sorrow had set up had no effect on the divine king, it could affect a half-step divine king. This was already very impressive. Of course, Night Sorrow is a peerless genius who has the potential to dominate the world. Elder Zhuang, just wait for him to shine. Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to the divine king Zhuangqing, who was in the spatial artifact. There was a hint of pride in his voice. After all, he was the one who had seen through Night Sorrow's identity when he joined the Tianyun school. Otherwise, Night Sorrow might still be cultivating in a low-key manner. I will wait and see. The divine king Zhuangqing smiled amiably. Elder Lu, give me a day. I will say goodbye to my family, and then we will go to the location of the 7th sect tournament together. At this moment, Night Sorrow spoke. In fact, he was a little embarrassed that he had delayed the trip. Okay, go ahead. Lu Qingyuan did not blame Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow went back to say goodbye to his family and met Yuan Tianji. Then, he and Lu Qingyuan met up with the prodigies participating in the tournament. The members of the Tianyun school participating in the 7th sect tournament had already been selected. The Feather God group included Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th, Yun Tingfei, who was ranked 30th, and Yan Zheng, who was not on the Feather God list but was stronger than Si Kongxiang. Although Yun Tingfei's ranking was not low, he had already been confirmed as Night Sorrow's substitute. The other 4, including Night Sorrow and the Tianyun school, were quite strong. The God group included Mu Qingyu, who was ranked 11th on the Feather God list, Liang He, who was ranked 21st, Yan Fangfei, who was ranked 29th, Zhou Qian, who was ranked 51st, and Nalanda, who was ranked 84th. The God group's ranking did not seem that shameful, but the 5 of them had participated in the last tournament and were ranked last. In addition to these participants, the Tianyun school sent out a total of 10 law enforcement elders to protect them. The law enforcement elder, Lu Qingyuan, was responsible for leading the team. After everyone had gathered, many people paid attention to Night Sorrow. They did not know what identity he had used to sneak in. After everyone boarded the heavenly cloud shuttle of the Tianyun school, Nalanda was instructed by Mu Qingyu. He pointed at Night Sorrow and asked Lu Qingyuan, Elder Lu, who is that guy? Why is he going to the 7th sect tournament with us? Oh, he is the nephew of Deputy Suzerain Yuan. He is my substitute for Tianyun school. His main purpose is to come out and see the world. Lu Qingyuan was very unhappy with Nalanda, but he still held back and made up an identity for Night Sorrow. I see, so he is a backdoor entrant. Chapter 2569. Looking at Nalanda's appearance, Yi Shan really wanted to beat him up. However, under Lu Qingyuan's voice transmission, he restrained himself. Hearing that Night Sorrow had gotten in because of his connections, other than Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, the rest of the contestants looked at him with disdain. Nalanda, in particular, walked over to Yi Shan and mocked him a few times. Is everyone ready? If you are, we will set off for Tianxian school. Lu Qingyuan knew that Night Sorrow would shine on the day of the grand competition, so he didn't care about these trivial matters. We are ready. The 10 Divine Lord Law Enforcement Elders and the 10 geniuses participating in the grand competition immediately responded. Only Yi Shang stood on the heavenly cloud shuttle that was gradually rising into the air and looked at the mountain where his family was. Come back, it's time to go. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yi Shan. Then, he looked at the crowd and said, this trip will take some time. Everyone can return to their rooms to adjust. People die in every grand competition of the 7 sects, I hope that all of us can come back this time. We will fight with all our strength and defend the glory of Tianyun school. The few people who had participated in the last grand competition immediately roared out. Last time, the Feather God group and the Deity group had both come in last place. They were all angry. Although the Deity group didn't change much this time, the Feather God group had a few new members. This gave some people hope. Ha ha ha. Even if you trash fight with all your strength, you will only be last place. I think you have forgotten the pain from a few days ago. At that moment, a burst of arrogant laughter drifted over from afar. Then, the contestants from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, led by Yen Jifei, who was ranked third on the Feather God list, flew to Tianyun School's Skycloud shuttle. As for the Deity group, they didn't even come. Yen Jifei, you are too arrogant. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the God of Feathers list, shouted angrily. Loser, I'm not here for you. I want to challenge Nalanda, who is ranked 84th on the Divine list. It was said that there was a feather god called Night Sorrow who defeated an expert on the Divine list and became a master on both lists. Today, I, Yen Jifei, will have a taste of what it's like to be on 2 lists. Yen Jifei stared at Nalanda with contempt on his face. I still need to prepare for the 7 Sex tournament. I won't accept your challenge. In the face of Yen Jifei's challenge, Nalanda immediately cowered. His tone was obviously timid. Hee, if you don't accept the challenge, what does that count as? Is this considered admitting defeat and giving me the 84th position on the High God list? Nalanda's cowardice made Yen Jifei's face even more proud. He laughed arrogantly and said, you Tianyun school students. Sure enough, after Mu Baiyu, it completely collapsed. It's all mud that can't be supported. Yen Jifei, pay attention to your words. This is my Tianyun school's place. You, a feather god, can't be presumptuous. Yen Jifei didn't put the people present in his eyes. Lu Qingyuan immediately rebuked him. Elder Lu, am I wrong? Look at your Tianyun school, what kind of trash are you? You're not strong enough, don't tell me you won't let people talk about it. Yen Jifei's face had a provocative smile. He knew that Lu Qingyuan, a monarch god, wouldn't make a move against him. You, presumptuous. Lu Qingyuan's anger had completely exploded, but he still endured. People with strength naturally have the capital to be presumptuous. Elder Lu, you don't want Nalanda to fight, are you afraid that he will be injured and can't participate in the tournament? I will be merciful, so you don't have to stop me. Yen Jifei chattered on. Qingyuan, let Night Sorrow cripple him. My Tianyun school's face is not something that anyone can slap. My Tianyun school's face in the 7 Sec tournament must be fought for. We can't lose our face at this moment. At this moment, the divine King Zhuangqing, who was in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, angrily transmitted his voice. When the old man heard a junior continuously humiliating the Tianyun school, he was so angry that his fingers were trembling. Yes. Zhuangqing. Lu Qingyuan didn't have the courage to let Night Sorrow fight directly because he was afraid of exposing his target. But at this moment, with Zhuangqing's words, he immediately became spirited. He looked at Yen Jifei with disdain and said, I'm afraid that you will be injured and can't participate in the tournament. Your Heavenly Martial Pavilion will fight with me. Ha ha ha. Did I hear wrongly? Hearing this, Yen Jifei laughed arrogantly. Even the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Meng Yi, flew to the Heavenly Cloud shuttle and said with a smile, when cultivators compete, injuries and even death is karma. If Jifei is killed or injured by Nalanda, my Heavenly Martial Pavilion won't care. Let the Divine King bully the Feather God? My Tianyun school won't do such a shameful thing. In the face of the other party's provocation, Lu Qingyuan raised his eyebrows and said, if you want to compete, then both sides will send out the Feather God. Oh. Feather God? Haven't your Tianyun school's Feather God been taught a lesson? Meng Yi glanced at the Tianyun school's Feather God and asked disdainfully. My Tianyun school's cultivators may not be the most talented in the 7 sects, but in terms of tenacity, they are definitely the best. If you want to compete, we will accompany you. Lu Qingyuan replied firmly and continued, since it's a competition, why don't we add some stakes? Oh. What do you want to use as a stake? Meng Yi asked with a smile. He was sure that he would win, otherwise, he wouldn't be so provocative. If I lose, I will give you the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. What do you think? This Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the highest grade in my Tianyun school. It's a king-grade artifact. Lu Qingyuan was also sure that he would win, so he said the stakes of the king-grade artifact. Oh. This king-grade Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the face of your Tianyun school. Are you willing to bet on it? Meng Yi said with a look of disbelief when he heard Lu Qingyuan's words. He couldn't believe his ears. Since it's a competition, let's make it big. What's the point of a small fight? Lu Qingyuan was ready to let Night Sorrow make a move. His aura had completely exploded. Okay. This elder will accept your wager. Meng Yi smiled and said, if I lose to you, I will give my king-grade artifact Heavenly Marshal's Soul Spear to you, Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Good. Then it's a deal. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He had a card up his sleeve. At this time, Yan Zhifei coughed and said, 2 elders, you are betting so big. Even if you give it to me, I don't dare to accept it. I also want to bet something else. Can I? What do you want to bet? My Tianyun school will accept it. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. I want to bet on her. If I win, she will give me Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Yan Zhifei pointed at Mei Ruoxue with an evil smile on his face. Okay. Let's bet. But to be fair, if you lose. Elder Yan Fangling, how about you become my concubine? Lu Qingyuan pointed at a female cultivator in the distance. This female cultivator was an elder of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. She was ranked 3rd in the Heavenly Feather group and 4th in the Deity group. She was a very famous beauty in the 7 sections. Moreover, she was Yan Zhifei's aunt. Lu Qingyuan's nephew was so shameless. As his aunt, she did not know how to educate him. She deserved to be implicated. Lu Qingyuan, what did you say? Hearing that Lu Qingyuan wanted to use his aunt as a stake, Yan Zhifei immediately became angry. He did not even call him Elder Lu. What? Only your Heavenly Martial Pavilion can have ideas about my Tianyun school's female disciple? Yan Zhifei, if you provoke me again, I don't mind killing you. Being called by his full name by a feather god, Lu Qingyuan's temper was not good. Chapter 2570. All right. Auntie, I'll definitely help you vent your anger. Yan Zhifei's eyebrows showed a strong desire to fight after he got the approval of his aunt, Yan Fangling. He provoked, which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you fight me? Yan Zhifei's aura was so strong that Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th in the Tianyun school, immediately transmitted his voice to Lu Qingyuan. He said in surprise, Elder Lu, I'm not Yan Zhifei's opponent. Why did you make such a bet? Isn't this the same as giving away an Emperor-grade divine artifact? I don't need you. Lu Qingyuan glanced at Ho Qingshan and cursed him inwardly. He comforted Mei Ruoxue, who was transmitting her voice to him. Ruoxue, do you think Elder is a lunatic? Trust me, we'll definitely win. Even if the ruler returns to the divine feather realm, he won't be our match. When Mei Ruoxue heard that she was the wager and that Lu Qingyuan had agreed to the wager, she immediately rejected it. Elder. You're not being controlled by the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, are you? Lu Qingyuan's explanation made Mei Ruoxue feel that he was really crazy. Ruoxue, you can't screw up. We have the Divine Feather Stairway to Heaven result, which is 31,220 steps. This is an unprecedented result. When Mu Baiyu was in the Divine Feather realm, the highest record was 27,000 steps. Lu Qingyuan continued to transmit his voice. Mei Ruoxue felt that this was a fantasy. She immediately doubted, impossible, it's impossible to be more outstanding than senior brother Baiyu. Mu Baiyu was like a god in her heart, a man who walked out of a legend. She didn't believe that there was someone more outstanding than him. Sigh. I don't think I can persuade you. Wait, I'll let Si Kongxiang talk to you. Seeing that Yan Fangling was about to win, how could Lu Qingyuan let Mei Ruoxue ruin the good thing? He immediately transmitted a message to Si Kongxiang, persuade Ruoxue and get her to agree to the bet. Night Sorrow is certain to win. At that time, his result of climbing the stairway to heaven was 31,220 steps. He's even stronger than Mu Baiyu at the same time. It's impossible for him to lose to Yan Jifei. Good. I will explain it to Ruoxue with my life. Si Kongxiang knew about Night Sorrow. When he heard Lu Qingyuan's words, he immediately felt more confident. He hurriedly tried to persuade Mei Ruoxue, but Mei Ruoxue still refused. What should we do? Are we going to let Yan Fangling fly away just like that? If Mei Ruoxue did not agree, then he could only use the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle as a wager for the Emperor-grade divine artifact, the Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had been lonely for countless years, be willing to accept this? He transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. Mei Ruoxue doesn't agree to be the wager. How can I persuade her? Elder Lu, don't worry. Night Sorrow will definitely help you win the concubine today. Night Sorrow, who was standing at the side, slowly walked to Mei Ruoxue's side. He gave her an image crystal and transmitted a message. This was recorded when I was climbing the stairway to heaven. You can take a look at my result. Humph. Your result is around 10,000 steps. I remember it clearly. Now that Night Sorrow came to persuade her, and he, an outer disciple, seemed to have an invincible aura, Mei Ruoxue was even angrier. She felt that Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang, and Night Moon were all crazy today. Take a look carefully and then consider whether you want to agree or not. Also, although this is a wager that you can't lose, we won't let you be the wager for nothing. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her calmly. Night Moon, what's wrong with you today? Normally, you're not someone who likes to pester endlessly. Night Sorrow spoke with the demeanor of a big shot, as if he was treating himself as an important person in Tianyun school. Coupled with the outer disciple uniform he was wearing, he looked a little funny. This is my identity jade token. Take a look before you speak. Night Sorrow wrapped the jade token with his god essence energy and handed it to Mei Ruoxue for her to take a look before making a decision. What? This is the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token. How did you get it? Mei Ruoxue, who was extremely impatient after being persuaded, was shocked when she saw the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token. Her family had elders in Tianyun school. Naturally, she knew that the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token couldn't be faked. Now that Night Sorrow, a feather god, was the Divine King Seed, she felt a little dizzy. Of course it was won by talent. Go and take a look at the image crystal. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her. He knew that it was very impolite to use her as a wager. However, the people from Heavenly Martial Pavilion were too arrogant. It wasn't enough that Heavenly Martial Pavilion injured all their feather gods in Tianyun school. They continued to provoke them on the road. This was definitely taking advantage of their dignity and continuously picking on honest people. As a member of Tianyun school, he had to earn back his dignity. At this time, Yan Jifei, who was challenging them, saw that no one from Tianyun school was responding. He immediately provoked them even more arrogantly. Elder Lu, weren't you very arrogant just now? You even wanted to use my aunt as a wager. Why didn't anyone from Tianyun school come out and fight with me? Could it be that Elder Lu really wants to bully the weak? Nephew, take a break first. Let's discuss the countermeasures. It'll be done soon. Before Mei Ruoxue was settled, Lu Qingyuan smiled and replied to Yan Jifei. Lu Qingyuan, I think you're tired of living. Do you really think that I, Yan Fangling, won't dare to attack you in Tianyun school? Hearing Lu Qingyuan call Yan Jifei nephew, Yan Fangling immediately rebuked him. When she was the #1 person in Heavenly Martial Pavilion and ranked 3rd in the Feather God group, Lu Qingyuan didn't even enter the top 10. He only ranked 14th. There was a certain gap in talent and strength between them. We'll be a family in the future. There's no need to fight. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Yan Fangling was the goddess of their generation. How could he, who had been lonely for tens of thousands of years, be calm when he finally had the chance to get close to her? Who's your family? You're courting death. Yan Fangling's face was completely lost after being teased. She immediately prepared to attack. At this time, Mei Ruoxue suddenly stepped forward and said, Elder Yan, don't be angry. Since you and Ruoxue are both wagers, let's stand aside and watch the battle. It's Ruoxue's honor to be a wager with you. Knight Soro's Jade Identity Tablet and the Stairway to Heaven result had already brought her endless shock. At this moment, she wouldn't be afraid even if she had to bet 10,000 times. Even when she opened her mouth to speak, she felt her body tremble. The Stairway to Heaven result of the Divine Feather Realm exceeded 30,000, surpassing the Sect Master and Mu Baiyu. It made her feel like she was in a dream. Oh. It seems that you've already discussed it. In that case, I, Yan Fangling, will wait and see. Let's see what kind of capital Tianyun School has to dare to have any ideas about me. Yan Fangling had just seen the Tianyun School's group doing Mei Ruoxue's work. Chapter 2571. Let's talk about who we'll send out later. At this time, Lu Qingyuan saw that the matter had been decided and immediately said, since the battle has been decided, let's make an oath to the heavens so that no one will go back on their word. Good. Our Heavenly Martial Pavilion is not afraid. The people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had been provoking the Tianyun School. Now that the Tianyun School had agreed to the battle, they were very happy to make an oath to the heavens. I, the disciplinary elder of the Tianyun School, Lu Qingyuan, swear. The core disciple of the Tianyun School, Mei Ruoxue, swear. The Tianyun School was clear about Knight Soro's strength, so the two of them did not make an oath to the heavens. At this time, Yan Jifei put on a fake smile and said, where are the people who will participate in the battle? Could it be that Ruoxue will fight personally? If you were the one on stage, I might really lose to your pomegranate skirt. Don't call me Ruoxue. I'm not familiar with you. You're so arrogant, just wait for your face to be slapped. Mei Ruoxue was teased by Yan Jifei, and her eyebrows were immediately covered with frost. Okay, I'll wait for my face to be slapped. But where is the person who slaps my face? You Tianyun School delayed for so long, is it just to show off? Don't forget that both sides have already made an oath to the heavens. It's impossible to go back on your word. Yan Jifei, who had completely unleashed his divine domain, sneered and continued to roar. Don't shout, your opponent is me. At this time, Knight Soro slowly walked in front of Yan Jifei and calmly replied. You? The outer disciple of the Tianyun School? Huh, this is the biggest joke in the world. Don't tell me you think you're some peerless master, and you're wearing the outer disciple's uniform to hide your identity. Knight Soro's aura did not leak out, so Yan Jifei could not feel how strong he was. He immediately hooted. If you think so, I won't open my mouth to deny it. Yan Jifei had danced for so long that even Yi Shang's heart was filled with anger. He coldly replied, that's right. You really think you're some big shot. Now, let me see just how strong you are. You will soon understand that the third-ranked expert on the God of Feathers list is not to be trifled with. Yan Jifei roared as his god domain burst out completely. He was ranked third on the Feather God list, second only to Wuyo of the Tianqing Gate and Shang Su Yan of the Tianxian Gate. He was indeed very strong. But at this time, Knight Soro smiled and asked, since the third position can't be challenged, then what about the first and second positions? Scoundrel. You are courting death. Heavenly Martial Demon Fist. Yan Jifei, as the 1,000-year-old third, had always been suppressed by the first two. Being ridiculed like this, he immediately flew into a rage. Up until the moment he made his move, the arrogant him did not even ask for Night Sorrow's name. The people on the Heavenly Cloud shuttle made space for them before Yan Jifei could make a move. In addition, the Heavenly Cloud shuttle was made of king-grade materials. With the power of the Feather God, it would not be damaged at all. Lu Qingyuan did not say anything to stop him. Be careful. This Heavenly Martial Demon Fist is one of Yan Jifei's killing moves. It is very powerful. It's obvious that he's really angry. Ho Qingshan, who had fought with Yan Jifei before, was very surprised that there was an outer disciple in the Tianjing sect. But because they were from the same sect, he still reminded him. A few days ago, he had been seriously injured by this move. Even now, he still had lingering fears. No matter. You are just a chicken and a dog. Hearing Ho Qingshan's reminder, Night Sorrow responded and released his powerful god domain. Facing Yan Jifei's powerful move, he chose to use his fist to respond. He did not use any of his moves at all. Your god domain is very strong. No wonder you have the confidence to fight with me. But if you don't use your moves, you are definitely courting death. Seeing that Night Sorrow did not even use his moves, Yan Jifei sneered in his heart. But soon, Yan Jifei's smile completely froze. Because after the two exchanged moves, he was directly thrown out of the Heavenly Cloud shuttle. What? How is this possible? When did the realm of the gods have such a powerful feather god? Yan Jifei, who had been brimming with confidence, was sent flying thousands of miles away. Yan Jifei was stunned. Jifei, don't be distracted. We can't afford to lose this bet. Yan Jifei was a little absent-minded. His aunt, Yan Fangling, immediately reminded him. Si Kongxiang, who had been suppressing himself, shouted, Good! Good fight! What's going on? When did our Tianyun school have such a fierce character? The other disciples of the Tianyun clan were all dumbfounded. The strength that Yi Shang had displayed had already exceeded their understanding. Against Yan Jifei, who was ranked third on the Feather God list, he could easily send him flying. This was something they did not even dare to dream of. He is indeed very strong. Mei Ruoxue, who had been persuaded by all kinds of people to agree to the bet, had a complicated look in her eyes. Everyone present, including her, was undoubtedly a heaven's pride. But at this moment, the halo around them was undoubtedly shattered by Night Sorrow's punch. Can't believe the fact in front of you, or can't believe that someone from the Tianyun school can suppress you? Facing the obviously absent-minded Yan Jifei, Night Sorrow said coldly, when you humiliate others, you should be prepared to be humiliated. Use all your trump cards, or you won't have a chance. I will kill you. Being sent flying in front of everyone, Yan Jifei's face was burning. He felt that all the words he had said before the bet were all slaps to his own face. As he roared, he took out his divine weapon, the Starlight Sword, and used the Sword Realm to suppress Night Sorrow. Then, he merged with the sword and shot forward. This was his strongest move, and he would suffer a strong backlash if he used it. He had prepared it for Wu You and Shang Suyen. He did not expect that he would be forced to use it before the Seven Sects tournament. This attack is very strong, but it's not enough for me to use my divine weapon. Facing Yan Jifei's strongest attack, Night Sorrow used the 33 Heavens Battle Secret technique, increasing his strength tenfold. Facing Yan Jifei, he threw out another punch. He still did not use his secret technique. This time, the people from the Tianyun school did not say anything. They knew that Night Sorrow must be aware of it. As for Yan Jifei, he did not underestimate him. Boom! In an instant, the two collided. The void above the Heavenly Cloud shuttle was shattered by the collision of the two. Not long after, Yan Jifei's figure appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, his Taoist robe was torn, and his body was covered with injuries. He looked very miserable as he flew in the void. What happened? Where is Night Sorrow? Seeing that it was Yan Jifei who appeared in front of everyone, Lu Qingyuan asked with a face full of astonishment. In his opinion, Night Sorrow's strength was much higher than Yan Jifei's. It was impossible for him to lose. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow? He is not my opponent, so he naturally died in the void. Yan Jifei's whole body was injured, but his face was filled with madness as he roared arrogantly. Yan Jifei, you used the invincible monarch god talisman to plot against me. This time, you are courting death. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.